Get started. And now before we get started, this is going on YouTube because I hit record. Colin with the big sub, thank you so much. Oh, another gift by Jackalio. Jackal's just making it rain in the chat. I appreciate you, buddy. You're the best. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 8 of The Caster's Curse. I am your usual host, Ryan, aka Ryan Fools. Jacob was not able to make it today. He had some work obligations over at Ghost Gang. So I had to fill the gaps with some of my great friends and some icons in the Gears of War scene. Today I'm joined by a couple repeat guests. Veli, thank you so much for the sub as well, brother. But I'm joined by some guests. This is this is amazing. My whole intro on YouTube is going to be absolutely chalked, but for good reason. I appreciate you guys and I appreciate the support. But I am joined by a couple repeat guests and a couple new faces. I have Affinity, Ribs, and Franchise 3 of my best friends in the whole wide world. I'm very excited to have them on today. Gentlemen, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Glad to be here.
That was the longest intro ever because of all the subs, which again, great problem to have.
The disrespect with the small s on the stream is actually tilting me.
The disrespect was making me wait, so we're gonna keep it that way. I've had to type out your name so many times and your gamer tag so many times in my life. Like, that's actually, I can't believe, I'm even surprised that I misspelled it.
That's not okay. All right, don't worry about it. Just jotting that one down.
It's all good. Again, it's eye for an eye, but again, appreciate you guys, of course, joining me. We're finally getting some more Gears 5 news. I know some people have played at some of these Microsoft stores, so we're seeing a little bit of gameplay here and there. But in the last couple of weeks, we've actually gotten some new pieces of news and kind of some of the outer parts of the game, right? Last time we talked about mechanics, and we're going to talk about some mechanics with the up A speed boost. I kind of threw that one in towards the end to kind of get it when things are getting hot, because I've seen this up A speed boost thing all over my timeline for quite some time now. So I definitely want to get your guys' opinions. You guys, of course, have been playing Gears probably longer than anyone in the scene at this point. So, you guys have kind of seen a little bit of everything. You guys have played at every single walk of life in Gears. So definitely thought this would be a fantastic group to kind of go through all the differences, and as well as explain to viewers kind of what this means too. I think people don't really know what that means, but when we get there, we will discuss all of that. The first kind of topic I wanted to start with was actually going to be something that I was super excited to see because I kind of have a background, not a background in Halo, but Halo is kind of what got me started in esports. It's kind of what made me fall in love with competitive games. And a big feature in Halo that was always super cool for their community was the Forge feature, right? The ability to make maps and to have maps that were playable for other people. And with recent news, we found out that Gears 5 is getting a map builder. So of course, right now, everything that we're seeing is for that game mode Escape, and the map builder is going to start off with Escape. But the reason I wanted us to talk about it is because in one of those articles, and I think NoZero confirmed it, they did say that the map builder will at some point be put in for multiplayer. So that, to me, that was a super cool feature. I know that, like Halo Reach, for example, I know a lot of the maps they play competitively were from Forge. I mean, ideally, hopefully we get good enough maps where it's not needed, but I thought something that would be definitely super cool for our game, and I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts of the impact it might be able to have on our competitive scene. And to me, the question I always ask people is, would you guys like to have, community maps, or would you guys like to have like Forge-made maps in the competitive cycle?
Really, really, really well made. I think it's a little different than making Halo maps because of how much more our movement like interacts with the design of a map. So, I mean, if someone puts enough time into it, then yeah.
Well, I think
I'm pretty optimistic about it. I think the sky's the limit, right? So as long as they make it to where
there's unlimited potential for sure.
Right.
But it'll probably take people a while to figure out how, what it takes to make a good one.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
I think,
Anytime we can get new maps, it's a good thing. Like, we've been playing, reiterations of old maps for like 10 years. So like, anytime somebody or anyone could come up with something new, it's definitely gonna be a good addition as long as it's a competitive map.
Yeah, I mean, in Gears 4, I guess we had, how many of the same maps for the entirety of Foundation, for example? Like, some of these maps for the entirety of the 2 seasons, right? Obviously, in Gears 1, we had a lot of same maps. Gears 2, same maps. So to me, I always thought that, I was always jealous of Halo having Forge. I think for me, the biggest thing, when they do get to that point, of course, it's not, I don't think it's going to ship within multiplayer, but when they do get to that point, I think the biggest thing for me to think about is going to be the whole file sharing system, because without a file share system, I mean, it's all kind of chalked, right? It seems kind of all for nothing. But one thing that stuck out to me when I read the article about it was in Forge, it was kind of like a sandbox, right? It was like you could fly around, you could place things. And from what I read from this one, it's actually like tile based. So basically, like, you have like squares, and on all of these squares, you get to, like, I guess, put different things. And of course, we've only seen it for Escape so far. So I mean, we might get different tools. But do you guys think that, I guess, is it possible to make a competitive map with that kind of system versus the sandbox system? Like, I feel like
so.
it sounds hard to me, honestly.
I hope they wouldn't make it and then not give the people like, because for me personally, I'm not gonna spend much time making maps. I'm just gonna hope the community can make some dope maps. But for the people that do like are looking forward to it, I know like Leon said he would love to make maps and he's already tweeted out some of the devs. For those people, I hope they have the freedom to make viable competitive maps. Otherwise, it's all for naught. You know, it's like what's the point?
Yeah, and I guess to me too, when I think about like the map stuff, because like everything's kind of sandbox and you can make whatever you want. I think to me like the talk always comes up like, do we have multiple game types? Let's say that execution comes back into our lives, right? We get execution again, like we get to control all the the placements on the map where the weapons go. Like there's just so many things that we get to control, and so to me that sounds super exciting. I think that that could be one of those things that like could help kind of edge in the idea of multiple game types, edge in the idea of execution, because I think the biggest thing that we saw, and I mean the more we run execution on some of the UMG tournaments, we're finding that execution maybe does kind of work on Gears 4. I mean it's not the same thing as playing for $1 million circuit, but watching execution on Gears 4 was kind of interesting. And so, of course, the question I probably get asked the most, honestly, on these chats is about multiple game types. Can execution and escalation live among each other, and how do you make that work? And so, to me, I mean, if we had a way where we can kind of control what are some of our pain points for execution on like a 5v5 kind of mode, I think that would be interesting.
No doubt.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we could get more modes, obviously, it would help out the competitive scene a lot. But maps have to be built for it, and hopefully this builder can give us that.
I guess real quick, since Jose, this is your first time on here, we get asked this question a lot. Like, what are your thoughts real quick on multiple game types?
I mean, I would love, multiple game types. I would love to be able to play, more than just one game type every day. It kind of makes, practicing stale. And I know over time, playing the same game types will get kind of old. But at the very beginning, having different teams master different game types, it just adds, another dimension to the competition. If we had some sort of maybe a bomb game type, if we had that, and certain teams were just better than other teams at it, and other teams being great at escalation, it's just who's going to win the battle of the weaker game type. Like we don't have that in Gears, and I wish I did.
Yeah, one thing I'm always jealous of, like with Call of Duty, right? And of course, they have a lot of like advanced stats and stuff, but there's all these different statistics about like teams winning events with certain records in S&D, right? Because like S&D is kind of like that game over in Call of Duty, like championships are won in S&D. Like a big thing when 100 Thieves won, I think there was their London event. Like they were the first team, I think, in history to win an event with an S&D win percentage lower than 50, right? And like things like that, those are storylines that you can build on, right? And those are things where like S&D stars in Call of Duty have come up to become like the next pros, right? And like those different varieties, like I said, of mastering certain game types and switching it up, I think to me would be super interesting. And I guess I just wonder if this is maybe one of those steps towards maybe getting there, if that's something that could help kind of execution come to life. Because again, that seems to be what most of the community wants. I get a little hesitant about it, but it seems like most of the community kind of does want that execution back. But going back to the map builder, I guess just my next kind of question again. I knew this would be kind of a short one because we don't know a ton about it yet. I think Jordan, we'll start with you. What is a feature that you think has to be in the map builder in order for it to be useful to us in multiplayer?
You gotta be able to like control the aesthetics of the map. So like you gotta be able to change the colors around. You definitely need to be able to choose where you put the weapons, and then in the case of escalation, obviously you need to choose where the hills go, where your spawns. There's a lot, honestly. You need to have the utmost freedom. If you don't have the freedom that the devs have, then it's almost pointless, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
freedom to make like a lot of varying elevation points also.
Of course. Yeah.
Like height or whatever, that won't work either.
Yeah, just think about like even taking it a step further. I guess I was just thinking kind of in the box of like execution, but even think about like escalation, right? I mean, for some of these people that play competitive, guys like Leon, of course, like I said, comes to mind first. Like even thinking about just different, like we've seen so many of these like setups, right? And so many of these fights play out that we kind of know what the ideal fight kind of looks like, at least in our eyes. And so I could think of like if someone who's played a lot of competitive escalation, they can kind of build a map that makes for good setups, for good fights. There's not a lot of slap a boom down in the super close quarters like we found like Reclaimed, right? That was not a fun way to play, right? And so I think that the ability to make our own maps could be something really cool. But again, the caveat there is obviously I think we all hope that the game ships with maps that are kind of viable enough
and not remade.
Oh, we're getting Gridlock. You already know, day one. We're getting Gridlock.
You always say that, bro.
What's the theme this time?
Let's see. We've gotten like the really grassy one. We've gotten daytime. We've gotten nighttime. What else am I missing?
We're getting volcano, lava,
flare.
ash.
Yeah.
Wind flare
Wind
gridlock.
flare. Yeah.
You're getting rocks of magma, like magma and rocks thrown at you while you're running that tower.
like
100%.
a Fortnite, just slap a volcano on there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Fortnite, imagine the map builder was kind of like creative mode where you could just like
Well, that's why to me like this
literally.
could get interesting. Like we're seeing like Fortnite, for example, like they're building out the World Cup has an entire fucking like circuit now for creative mode, right? So like people like Scissors and stuff jumped on the death run thing like that, and right, and have made like a revolution of the game. So that's why to me like it's just a really cool tool that I think could be cool for community building. It engages a different section of the community as well, right? And so to me, and it could even bring in multiple kind of communities together, right? That could be, we could appreciate guys like that. Us competitive players now can get more in touch with some of those guys. So I think to me, it's a pretty cool tool to have. But again, I think it has to have a file share for us. For Escape, I mean, again, I don't know a ton about that, how that whole scene is going to be, but for us, I think having a file share is going to be key.
If it doesn't have a file share, how does it even operate? Like, how do you even play the people's maps? I don't get it.
So I think that I saw there's some kind of like you like upload it, and so I think the way it has to work is for Escape at least you have to play it and beat it. Like you have to beat your own creation, right? So once you beat, so I don't know if it's like on Mario Maker, like can't you like make an impossible level and like never work, like just let it rock? Like I think you have to beat it before you can publish it. But
Okay.
and it's like a public leaderboard. So again, I would think that tech is kind of existing already, and 343 is just down the road over at Microsoft. So I'm sure that some of that tech is in house. So that to me is kind of the key. I guess real quick before we move on, I mean, any closing thoughts? I figured I wanted to start with this one just because I knew it'd be kind of the slowest one. But do you guys have any closing kind of thoughts on that? I'm excited to see more about it more than anything.
No, I'm just excited to see what some of the creative minds of the community can do when they get their hands on it. Hopefully, it turns out some playable maps.
Yeah, I bet guys like
I hope-
Leon are gonna love that.
I hope that you could make it isn't just limited to Escape on the launch of the game. I hope that by the time the game
think it
comes out
is.
that we can. That's unfortunate.
The way the
I'd
article-
like people to just get right at it right away, get feedback, and then just start making maps and
Yeah,
doing cool stuff.
the way the article read, it was one of those things where like it's going to be an Escape, and then that's one of those things that they're going to look to push towards multiplayer. That's the way the article read. I mean, I could be wrong. There's still time. But,
I think that's what it said. It was like a work in progress
Right.
for like other modes.
Okay.
Then you gotta beat bots in a game.
so Colin's saying in chat right now you have to beat on the hardest difficulty. So not only you have to beat it on like whatever insane or whatever the hardest one is. So that's good to know. But we'll move on. This is one that I actually was I think I have like the bad opinion on this one, so I'll let you guys kind of give your thoughts first. So I have the notes on my laptop next to me. Microtransactions and earnable content is being completely revamped in Gears 5. So traditionally we had the gear boxes, right? You buy the loot box. It's kind of an RNG fest, right? If you get what you get, great. If you don't get what you get, you got to buy more. You got to earn more, whatever it may be, right? And so I know there's been a lot of complaints kind of over the time of Gears 4 about the loot boxes. I myself have angrily tweeted out about the loot boxes not getting what I want, so I know the frustration. So it looks like they're actually kind of nixing that whole thing, and so the TLDR on the article says gear packs are gone, so is the season's pass. You can earn exclusive customization, but to kind of bullet point out the things that they're getting rid of, and I don't think we even have it in the first place, but there is no season pass, which actually surprised me because season pass is like it's super common across a lot of games now. It seems to be kind of the new thing for when it comes to content. No more gear packs, so gear packs as we know it are going away. This is kind of cool. DLC maps are free for matchmaking and private play. So anytime a new map comes out, doesn't sound like you got to buy it. To me,
Unless you're a Horde player.
I didn't even know. So like, yeah, like the UMG studio, for example, we started doing the Gears tournaments, and so I had to get my Xboxes at the studio on to Gears and everything, and realized like, oh shit, I got to go buy like the slab and shit. Like I have to go buy these maps right now, and forgot that like those maps were like put up for sale, and like we've had users on live support say like, oh, like I don't have the maps. Like how do I play my opponent? Like shit like that. So that's gonna be nice, and that's gonna be free, and then exclusive earnable content in the all-new Tour of Duty system, which to me sounds like another version of a season pass, but either way. And then it says all is probably the most important to viewers at home. All store purchases are direct, no RNG, so you always know what you get. So I think the thing you can relate that to the most is the Fortnite item shop, right? You go to the Fortnite item shop, whatever's on there, you can buy it, no worrying about kind of RNG, no CSGO loot boxes, none of that. So you get what you see, and that's kind of it. What do you guys think of that?
I
Sounds
prefer
great.
that system.
Yeah.
As long as it's like rotating sales like Fortnite, because they still got to have something that's going to trigger impulse buys, right? You just give everyone access to everything they'd ever want. They'll probably just buy like that one, let it sit.
Yeah, Fran, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like they have to limit it. You know, if they don't, you know, everyone's gonna have access to every single character, every single skin at that point. You know, like Chris said, like they have to trigger some sort of um something to make people buy it. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I just hope you know, like their little tour of duty thing that they're doing. Hopefully, it does, you know, give you some sort of incentive to play a lot of ranked, you know, or whatever modes they have. You know, maybe they have particular achievements or you know skins with particular modes. And it sounds like they do. It sounds like they've thought about it. I hope that's you know what they're doing. Get more people playing different modes and competitive. You know, have competitive only skins. I think that'll be a big deal for us as well. Um, but yeah, no, I definitely like the way they're going.
So, real quick, the description of the tour of duty says we've committed to delivering a more earnable content than never before through an extensive system called Tour of Duty. You take on daily challenges and seasonal medals to rank up and earn customization content, including character skins. The path to each piece of content that's earnable is clear. You will know what you need to do in order to earn specific customization items. In addition, there is no premium pay only content of Tour of Duty. It'll also run in the seasonal format. So I said it kind of sounds like a season's pass still, but I guess it's not because you don't buy it. I guess that's the only difference. Delivering brand new content and challenges every season. In addition to Tour Duty, you also directly earn rewards in other ways such as leaderboard placement and escape or verses. So there's kind of a reason to grind. And I think the only thing you can buy right at the bottom, they have these like boosts. So like you can get like double multiplayer XP, double character XP for escape and horde, and then double speed supply drop progression. That's how it reads. So I think that's going to be the little microtransaction behind that. But I'm going to actually disagree with all you guys. I actually don't like this. I just wonder, with a caveat, I guess. So you guys know I like to gamble quite a bit. I know this whole call likes to gamble as well. And so to me, I kind of always liked I actually felt more inclined to buy the loot boxes because of the element of RNG, like the element of like winning, right? Like I feel like I'm winning. And you know me, on Fortnite, I equally, on the other end, I buy everything in Fortnite too. I just wonder, like, will they keep up with the amount of items the way Fortnite does, right? So like, of course, like I said, I think it was Jordan that said it, like it has to be one of those things where like things are exclusive for a certain amount of days, right? It has to be like if you don't buy it that day, you lose it because there has to, or maybe it was Chris, sorry, there has to be some kind of incentive towards getting that item. Otherwise, like if the shit is all there all the time, like you might get all the sales, sure, but then it's going to come in like a wave, and then it's just going to drop. And then, I mean, think about it's going to sound a little selfish, I guess. Think about the esports side, right? Like the gear packs, like how many like crackhead gear pack buys, and those go directly into our circuit, right? So like, half of me is like the gambling side, half of me is a little bit on the greedy side for the pro circuit. And I don't even get a piece of the prize pools anymore, but just it makes the circuit sound cool. So I'm a little skeptical. I guess that to me, like it takes some of the fun out of it. So that's kind of why I sort of dislike it.
I feel the loot crates brought more anger and unhappiness than they did happiness.
But they kept buying.
I mean, I don't know.
RNG is so shit.
I don't know
and
what
then
the sales are like. I know they're supposedly pretty good at the beginning, but I mean, I stopped buying them after like Esports Pack 3 or 4. And to me, I also like the gambling system, like in Counter-Strike and other games. I think it's more well executed. I wouldn't mind if they'd kept a loot box system, but actually like revamped it. I'd say like lower the cost of the packs, make there be more not terrible ways of eventually getting the things you want.
no duplicates.
Instead of like, yeah, duplicates, and then just, I mean, the amount of scrap you needed to get something you actually wanted, or just the fact that something you wanted was uncraftable, was kind of like.
I agree on the price.
You could spend $100 for this stupid Anya skin and not get it, and also not be able to craft it ever.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So, and then the other thing that would make it a lot better to me is, I mean, I know they're not gonna be able to marketplace or anything like how Counter-Strike has, but they could at least put some sort of like in-game trade thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, isn't it coming to Steam though?
What?
Well, yeah, Gears is gonna be on Steam, huh?
Did they announce
Gears
that?
is gonna be on Steam. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! I knew it was gonna be on
Yeah,
PC.
no.
I didn't know it was gonna be on Steam.
Well, maybe they'll have something like
I'm about
that
to,
now,
I'm about to
but-
build. I'm about to build an empire. I'm about to build like the Gears pawn shop. Like I'm out here.
Yeah, Gears is. I mean, you know, obviously we have to see, you know, if they're gonna use that to be able to trade with people or anything like that. But that'd be interesting to see.
Is it gonna be like Fortnite, where like the first release skins of like the first few months just become super rare a year later?
Yeah,
Like
maybe.
I remember when people were selling
Yeah,
all their
yeah,
accounts with the Skull Troopers and then the Ghoul Trooper or whatever her name is.
yeah. I
The
think
the other thing, Ryan, about the way you said about to kind of like go back to what you were saying. But it just reminds me of the Gears 3 thing. You remember like what was it, those medals that if you got like 500 executions, you got I don't even remember like Jordan, do you remember the names? It was like
It was the War
uh
Journal, wasn't it?
no, I mean
the
it was,
ribbons.
but the ribbons, yeah, but you could see the names. You could see like you
Oh,
could
but in like in your
I don't
pregame,
remember.
like when the Epic Games are like the I made this. You're talking about on your tag right in the lobby.
Yeah, in your
Yeah,
tag it
yeah,
was like finisher
yeah,
or
yeah.
God, I
First
don't
in,
remember.
last out, and shit like that. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Those
yeah,
those
yeah.
medals. Like, but you had to earn those. Like, you had to do like 1,000 uh executions, and then you had to do 1,000 kills with the Lancer, 1,000 kills with the Shoddy, and like if you got, a combination of those, you got like a different medal or whatever those were. I actually like those from
I
Gears
did
3.
too,
I still
actually.
haven't seen it since.
Yeah, and people would like hack. You could hack and get like the ones from like Epic and stuff. So like there'd be freaks running around with like the Epic Games I made the game fucking tag on there, upping you and ranked. Like I remember that stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be
I
cool too. I
remember
mean,
sitting in a private killing bots with a Lancer to get the Onyx steel or whatever
Yeah,
Lancer.
exactly. Yeah, I remember doing that too. But see, that was something that made us play the game because we wanted that stuff.
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that like I said, we always talk about this, like the incentive for the average player to play the game on a pretty much a daily basis right now, because everyone kind of feels right now like there's no incentive to go play the game right now. You're not playing towards anything. One little element to that too that you saw is that they said that they were. I'm trying to find the quote. You'll earn rewards in other ways like leaderboard placements in Escape or Versus, and I'm sure they're doing stuff like Horde too, because obviously Horde's like our biggest community. But so now you'll get rewarded for being high in the leaderboards. Remember in Gears One, like how much people would like take pride in like being high on the leaderboards in Gears One, because the way you can go look at the leaderboards, like, and there was nothing up for grabs there. So now I could see people. That's another reason to play, right? Let's say that I would hope they would do something like they would tier it a little bit, right? So it's not like you have to get top 10 on the leaderboard, because that would kind of discourage some people. But it's like, okay, if you're in the top 10 percentile on the leaderboards, you get this, or like maybe they could do it where you get like a platinum, silver, gold, bronze, whatever it may be, right? Things like that. So it sounds like they're hearing us loud and clear for the most part. It sounds like honestly, like Jose, the system you kind of mentioned about like doing certain challenges to earn certain items, it sounds kind of like that's in the wheelhouse from what I'm reading on my notes right here. So like I said, the more reason to play, the better. And so I love the idea of earnable content. That part I'm on board with. The microtransactions, like I said, I like the gambling aspect. I'm kind of on the other end of those, but I think it's going to be interesting. I just, it sounds like they're listening, and that's the biggest thing, because I mean they got so many complaints, and I'm sure they made, I mean, a psycho amount of money on those gear packs in those situations, like you said, Chris, where like if you wanted Black Steel Savage Canis, like you're gonna keep buying the packs until you got them, and
Well, Six in chat is saying he spent $300 on getting Black Steel Canis, and he's still
oh yeah.
defending the loot crates.
Yeah, see, that's my guy. I like that. That's me. Like, that's Dylan at the blackjack table. Like, you just don't stop. Like, doesn't matter how much, you just don't stop.
Not until him and Vicky are both out of money.
Right. So, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, for me, like towards the end of like coaching and stuff, I never actually like would play the game. Right. I would just play like the shoddy lobbies before scrims when I was coaching. Like, I still bought all the esports packs, so because I wanted to win the character. Like, oh, I like that character. Like, I just want him. Like, I don't know why, but I would buy them. So I kind of missed that part. It feels like winning, but at the same time, I saw such an overwhelming amount of people asking them for direct purchases. Like, they're definitely listening to the community there. I'm definitely probably in the minority of people who like that side of the coin.
Following Fortnite's model is probably gonna work out.
I mean, Jose, remember in the beginning at the Jordan, you're there too, at the boot camp, the first NV boot camp before the Invitational, when they just released like the packs and stuff with like just the first run of skins, and everyone bought the airdrop, whatever it was, where it's like a suitcase full of skins, it's like $100, and we all just without failure just bought it on day one. I think Soto bought it twice, like
Yeah, no, Soto,
yeah, because Soto like didn't get what he wanted out of 100 packs.
no, Jamie's the one that spent the most, though, bro. Jamie was like, bro, I want this Black Steel Dell or whatever it was, dude. Would not stop.
I mean,
That was every
Never
esports
seen
pack
him
that
use
came
that
out.
character.
and shit, remember, I mean, the prize pool went up like 50K from those things like every event, so you're not going to tell me people were not sweating for those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they make the skins dope and then you get to go on the stores, like, all right, this is a esports version of the skins. It still goes towards the prize pool. People will buy it.
The price
They get-
point,
at least they get what they want to.
the price point was definitely high, I think. But then at the same time, man, like Fortnite, I buy $20 Fortnite skins, right? If it's 2,000 V-bucks, like I'm still swiping that shit. So like, I guess
Right.
the price point, I guess maybe it becomes a little bit irrelevant if it's something that you really want. Which hopefully they make shit that we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys played the Escape thing over at the Microsoft stores yet?
Nope.
Nope.
So I saw
I
there
was at E3 at the Microsoft Theater, and I was like, I literally went under the theater where Rod Ferguson came out. He came out. He did like a little, like, I don't know what to call it, where you come out of the bottom of the stage.
Mhm.
But no, I didn't play. They asked me if I wanted to play, and I just like, no, I'm good. Like, I have E-League next month. You know, that'll be what I want to play.
Yeah, I saw. I noticed, so from I think Nunez's videos, like there seems like they're adding more customization across the board. Like you could customize your executions now. So I wonder if like maybe on the marketplace you'll see like new types of things being sold versus just player skins,
Yeah.
right? Like can you buy, kind of in Fortnite they have the dances and shit. Like can you buy certain executions, right? And like maybe will they
Well,
take cosmetics
There's
to a new
emotes
level?
in the game too, right?
Yeah, I think so. So like, will they take like that kind of a new level with microtransactions, right? And like I said, like customization on characters and cosmetics. Like, will they go anywhere with that? I don't know. So I
Did
think,
you customize marking, like when you mark people?
yeah, that's
the
a
symbol?
I'm pretty sure they can customize that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, how much?
I don't want to have to buy that. But yeah.
I would say I don't know how much that.
That'll probably do a good job of driving sales. Like if someone sees their favorite player using a certain execution and emote, they'll go
Yeah.
sale.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to like copy and paste what Fortnite does, but like what they do is like really, really good. Like their system is just pretty spot on. But that's kind of my concern is copying that model because like, I mean, Fortnite's the biggest game in the world. They have to have just a fat staff of designers and people building these things just on a daily basis and pumping these out. And at the playtest store, and you remember we went to in Vancouver, we got to go watch the guy kind of like show us the skin, the weapon skin like studio thing. Remember that? There's a lot of shit that goes into that. And like the renderings and all that stuff, like it. So I just like it's a lot of time. I feel like you have to have a big staff to like sustain doing something as frequent as someone like Fortnite does. But I guess if we get any element of that, I'm sure that'll still be cool for us, just in comparison to what we've had in the past.
I mean, can we get a creator code? I mean,
Yeah. Yes. Use code. You're
Right.
gonna see me every day. Use code Ryan Fools on this, that, and the other. I hate what Fortnite kids do that, but if I had one, you already know.
Oh my god!
I get that
change
shit.
My gamer tag.
that-
I'll make my gamer tag.
Get that shit tattooed on my forehead.
That's relevant too. If they did do that, that'd be cool for some of the content creators. So.
I wonder if that's gonna be
Really
like
cool.
like the new thing, like kind of like just for. I wonder if anyone else is gonna like do that. Because dude, with those guys, like with the new Epic launcher, like those guys have creator codes for people buying games now. Like that's bread.
Yeah.
Like if you buy like I think it's like the Division or something, like and you use the dude's code, he gets a piece of the video game purchase. Like that'd be nice. But I think that might be a pipe dream for us over in the console world. But
Well,
any final thoughts before we get into the Titan topic of the day? Any kind of final thoughts on microtransactions, content, anything that you guys see in the chat that stuck out or anything for that topic?
No, I just think it's good. It's like remember Nick Merckx tweeted you. He said these are things that they should have been doing from the beginning. And even though there's a few people like yourself that they like to gamble with their money, not enough people have money to gamble with. So they should be able to get what they want when they spend money. So I mean that's gonna make a lot of people happy. I spent like a shit ton of
Hey,
money
man.
on the packs,
That-
and
can you
luckily I got
imagine?
what I wanted.
Yeah,
But
if you're a
I'm more happy.
You ever use a gumball machine, man, and you want the blue gumball and you don't get it? Like that's life.
right. Can you imagine like a little
That's a
like
quarter.
having like a little 9 or 10-year-old kid and he's like, oh, can I get money? Can I use your card to go get this character? He doesn't get it. Comes back 5
Huh.
minutes later. Can I get 10 more bucks? Right. That is pissed off.
That's going in your
Now that kid doesn't feel good.
that's going in your prize pool though, you know. So that's going.
Right back and
That-
forth.
At some point, you gotta
That
make
dad does
the
not give a
face
fuck
happen.
about
I
that
know.
possible.
All right.
I feel
Well.
like they just received way too much complaining.
Oh no, 100%. Like I said, I totally agree that the change is like I said, despite me being probably in the minority, that I think it's actually a pretty good change because, like I said, if you go to anytime they tweet anything about a character skin, it's just 1,000 kids like fuck the system, like just like ridiculous amounts. So
All
definitely,
the same people that just watch the stream for the skin.
should we take a jab at that? Take a jab at the Omen, maybe microtransaction to make that inverse Omen a different color. Then we get a green one.
Oh, no.
Yeah, let me buy a different omen.
Doesn't it switch colors depending on what's getting hit by?
Can I earn a different omen? Or no? Is that possible?
Did you see that, Ryan? Like when you're getting frozen, the omen's blue, and then when you're getting like hit by bullets, it's red.
Is that the case?
Yeah, I don't know
Wait,
if that's only
wait, when am I getting? Wait, is that Frozen thing gonna be a multiplayer?
Poison blue?
probably yeah. It's like the new flamethrower, but it's
If that's
not fire.
if that's gonna be a multiplayer, that's gonna be a strat.
Nah, there's no
You're the
way, bro.
Terminator and Mr. Freeze.
You imagine the Terminator rolling out with the fucking freeze ray. That would be something.
Right, I'll never see that in multiplayer, bro.
Imagine you have Gilbert.
Or
You have
actually competitive play.
Gilbert wall bouncing at you with that thing, bro. It's over.
If I get up aid frozen, like I'm shutting my box off.
Hey, speaking of up A's, that's a good segue in our next topic. Which I'm sure a lot of you are probably here for in the first place because it's been all over my goddamn timeline. So I feel like, you know what? We're going to talk about it. The good old up A speed boost. Now, I'm not sure when this reemerged because I feel like it's like a once a month kind of thing nowadays when it comes to how to change games. Even when the season was in progress, it was happening. This is a topic. And so, which one of you feels the most comfortable, first and foremost, explaining it to the viewers?
I'll let you guys explain because I want to go on. I want to go in on why it sucks. But go ahead.
So
I mean-
do I.
I mean, dude,
All right, so when you up A, you get a boost with those first few steps, right?
but what does that mean for gameplay? Like, explain to the viewer like why it's being talked about.
So for one, you have to up A out of spawn to get to your spots quicker, but more so in the shotgun battles, you go for certain shots. Like it promotes going for specific movements, which like promotes one singular playstyle, and it just kind of promotes brain dead gameplay because you're constantly up Aing, reaction shotting, using that speed boost to either get away from a fight or to engage into a fight, push somebody with a lancer, or get behind somebody so you could use your 40,000 sensitivity to do a 180 and chunk them. So it's just it's just like your slingshot just going all over the place. But
To
yeah.
me, the end of what you bigger issue is how fast you can close the distance or how fast you can get out of a situation. Because even without the speed boost, like people are still gonna time your shot and reaction shot or up A you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'll say to me, like the up A part is like I said, like Chris, you said it perfectly. Like the up A thing, that's not going to go anywhere. I mean, no matter what happens, right? Like as long as the mechanic of the shotgun allows you to shoot around the cover like that, like the speed boost doesn't let you like really shoot up through the cover. It doesn't change the mechanic of how the gun moves, right? It's like I said, it's the part about like closing the gap and then couple that with, like you said, Jordan, the 30 sensitivity. That's what makes it a conversation in the first place. So, Jose, do you want to? We'll start with you, so you can kind of go into your thoughts on it. As you can kind of see, I don't think anyone is necessarily a huge fan of it. I was looking. I think it was Ashes who was kind of playing the other side of it. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, like I said, I mean, in this call right now, there's no one that it seems to be in favor of it. But
All right, so going to like what was being said last night, and I'm 100% like on the same
What was
page.
last night on Twitter?
Yeah, on Twitter, like it was Kenny, Icy, and Ashes like going back and forth about it. And Ash's point was, that it's a neutral thing. That if I can up a speed boost, you can up a. That's a horrible argument because you can say that
Yeah, it
about
doesn't-
any broken gun.
Because it's balanced.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it's balanced because you and I have one. Like, no, it's not.
Well,
yeah,
balance is the wrong word. Like just because it's fair doesn't mean it's good.
yeah, exactly. So, anyways, I personally think that the up a speed boost and the combination of a weak shotgun makes the up a speed boost that much worse. Like it wouldn't be as bad as it is in Gears 4 if the shotgun punished from a range, like from a
And
longer
Lancer.
range.
Like
And
core?
Lancers. No, I mean core's too much. Core's like an extreme. And the competitive shotty is just too weak at a range. Like you have to shoot like we were doing it the other day. I think it was today actually. We were on stream. Me and Icy were L-triggering each other from like a good distance on purpose to show the stream. It was like 5 or 4 shots, and then, like in any other Gears, it's a 2-shot, 3-shot down, right? Now this up A with a combination of an up A speed boost, it eliminates positioning. Like it does not, you are not rewarded for having good positioning,
And
on a
hitting
player.
people while they approach.
Right, and playing defensive or playing your cover because the fact that you can up a speed boost. I mean, someone that is running away from you, right, can catch you between shots just because you have to get close, right? You have to cut that distance because your shotty does not work at a distance. And to cut that distance, you have to literally run at that player. One up a speed boost, as you're looking the other way and you cut back, you're in that guy's face 2 times faster. and that leads to those one-shot chunks, those catching people rolling away. That didn't happen in other Gears. It only happened in Gears 4. Like it didn't even happen in Gears 3. And why didn't it happen? Because the
Weapons
shot
were
in Gears
stronger.
3 were stronger. Yeah, 100%.
And we
You
had
could
stopping
even
power. We had more
yeah,
stop. A
that's
lot
another
of
thing.
That situation actually like that. I think that you made a good point. One thing I want to point out that probably never gets talked about, honestly, in Gears 4 is that situation where you're back rolling, right? When you're trying to like, in theory, like what's like one of the staple terms of like
Shooting and rolling,
playing
like,
smart, right? Is like, oh, the smart play is to back roll, right? That's what we've learned across every Gears game
micro-spacing.
ever.
You understand?
Yeah,
it still
that's
is
yeah.
it still
that
is the right play a
no,
lot of the time in Gears 4, but
you get punished
if you
for it now.
only if you shoot like too late. Like if you shoot to brick the person, that means you're in a range where they'll be able to get the up A and close the distance while you're rolling. When you shoot and roll, it has to be for like a 1 or 2 point shot. I mean,
What I'm
it's still
saying is
shitty,
like
no matter what.
what we want to think is a smart play, like Jose said, like you can close the distance like that and get chunked for it in what should be like a defensive, like I don't say like get out like play, but like what should be a defensive play to like elongate the fight is gonna get you killed like half the time now because you just get there so freaking fast.
Well, my thing
It's
is,
definitely worse online also.
why can you run faster because of an animation? Like why? Like that there's absolutely no reason why you should run faster because of an
I
animation.
mean, shit. In theory, like it's like physics based. Like it should go a lot slower. Like you just like get a lot of physical exertion to like jump yourself into that cover, run around it. You know what I'm saying? Like now you're going faster.
Yeah, and in all the other Gears, even in Gears UE, which is the game that came out before Gears 4, you can watch up A's in that game, and you can tell, you can literally tell when someone's going to up A and just pre-fire it. I mean, it up A in Gears of War has always meant death when you're not supposed to, and
Yeah, if you do it when they have a shot, it's asking to.
yeah, you're asking to die. If you up A when they're holding their shot, you are going to die. In any other Gears of War, but in this one, it comes down to the distance that you up A, the speed that you up A. Like there's just so many variables, and that's why it's so inconsistent, and that's why it's broken in Gears 4.
And so you think that it was like in Gears 3 it wasn't as bad in your opinion?
No, I mean
Because Note Zero said yesterday, like the speeds. I'm reading the tweet right now. The speeds were identical for Gears 3 to 4, and they changed the camera to adapt to reduce the nausea when transitioning and running.
yeah,
But it's the weapon tuning and the there's so much that goes into it. But in Gears 4 specifically, like Fran said, like because of the weapon tuning and how weak the shotgun is, because of the lack of stopping power, it promotes a play style where you literally like positioning doesn't matter. It's just like I'm gonna go fast, I'm gonna move fast, I'm gonna use my sensitivity, I'm gonna use my wall bounce canceling, and then I'm gonna use those up A's, and I'm just going to like disregard everything and just go for chunks.
Well, let me
The
play.
It's not good for the meta at all.
The max sensitivity in Gears 4 is almost like twice what it was in Gears 3 also because
That's
of
true.
the dead zones.
Let me play devil's advocate then. It sounds like a lot of this you guys feel is based on like things like you said the gun not being able to brick you like it was in past titles. Can the up A speed boost live in a world where the weapon tuning is different? In a world where the weapon tuning is more like Gears 3, can the up A speed boost with these sensitivities, can it live? Or is it just should be out no matter what?
Should be out no matter what, but it wouldn't be as hot of a topic, I think, if people weren't just
Would it
really
play
doing what they want all the time.
Would it help play into like this kind of, it's like this point it's like a fucking paradise where like the multiple play styles can live together, right? It's always like our dream, right? Is this paradise of Gears is where more than one play style can live together. If there's a world where the weapon tuning is more intact, can that maybe get us to where the guys who like that kind of stuff can still use it, but the guys who don't like using that kind of stuff can punish it?
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what, I think both the up A speed boost or any kind of speed boost period, it's combined with weapon tuning. Like they both go hand in hand. They're both used simultaneously, basically. And yeah, you can live with it if the weapon tuning was better, but it shouldn't be there in the first place. Like it's a gimmick that honestly just acts like a crutch for people.
Oh, I mean, I think it's purely there for like the visual, how the game just looks visually, so that it feels and looks more fluid. I don't think there's any balancing just for it.
Yeah, I mean, I
It
guess
seems it wasn't made with competitive in mind, which is like
I don't
always
think
a
it
bad
was
thing.
made with gameplay in mind, period.
Sure.
Also, combine that too, like I said, the speed. Combine that with the slip distance, feeling like it's very, very big, right? So when you have a situation where you can take cover from so far, which apparently I guess the slip was similar in Gears 3, which didn't feel as similar. Except that Chris, the sensitivities were different, the maxes were different, so that's why maybe it felt a little different. But
I feel like other. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're
But I
fine.
feel like other things that make the slide distance seem different are like your field of view for your character, 60 FPS, different stuff like that might make it seem like you're just cleanly grabbing a wall from further away.
Well, what makes
I haven't looked at the actual distances. I know people made videos about like checkout tiles and stuff, but are we sure the checkout tiles are even the same distance or size on both games? I don't know.
Well, what makes me like put the two pieces together, like the two things that go into play to me is the sensitivity being the biggest part. Like my thing is that like you can too quickly turn to initiate that new slip in the first place. That's where it really plays into me, right? So like if you can still turn quick but the slip is lower, you still have to put another input or two or a little more spacing to go take the wall. But when you can just quickly go boom, 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 quick, it can whip your camera back and forth and then also take a cover from what feels like a really far distance, even if it's the same as Gears 3. Like it doesn't make it not broken, right? So like if you could still swing your camera and take distance from that far over and over at different angles. Now we have Omni Roll too. Keep that in mind. Omni Roll, you can hit 7 different angles at once now, so like to me like it just feels like all that combined and then throw in like the finishing touch, the up A speed boost, so now you're going to do all these things too quickly and then come out like a fucking rocket launcher. Like that, just it all adds into this too much.
And bouncing out of a roll, don't forget that.
That needs to be.
He rolls and then he immediately initiates a wall bounce into an up A, and then it's just like all one fluid motion. No room to punish it, so no thought has to come out. It's just move, go fast.
You kind of mentioned it earlier, Ryan. You were like, with the up A speed boost, like you're saying, like, oh, can we balance out the, what these guys want to do with, the fast gameplay and balance out the slower players, right? But like everything in Gears 4 pushes you towards playing that fast way. The slip distance is extremely long. And I do agree with Chris. I do think it's maybe the frames that allow you to cleanly see, or maybe it looks like you're catching the walls from further away. But you can wall bounce further away. There's no what was that thing called, cooldown anymore?
Yeah, but I mean we played the game without cooldown for quite some time. So I mean the game was still played the way it was played before the cooldown. The cooldown was our attempt to fix it.
No, but it wasn't played. Season 1 wasn't played like how it is now. Like Season 1, people didn't literally hold shots and just walk up to you and chunk you. That wasn't a thing. Now all people do is they wall bounce, up A, hold shots just to get close. Why do they get close? Because they're not hurt from a distance. The range is you have to get close. So that's what the whole meta is now. And
never slow yourself down by shooting unless it's
exactly.
during an up A.
You're never slowed down. Right? Even wall bouncing resets your shot. You're rewarded for wall bouncing. You get to shoot faster than someone walking around, right? So, like, you're just rewarded with too many things, not to.
Explain that to the viewer real quick. Explain that thing you're talking about, shooting faster, because I don't think a lot of people know that.
So if you are walking around with your character and shooting, there's after every shot there's like a little gap between you and shoot the other shot. Like maybe I don't know the exact time is, but there's a gap, right? But if you wall bounce right after you shoot, if you wall bounce, it kind of resets that cooldown, I guess, that you can shoot between, and you can shoot again.
You shoot faster,
yeah. You just shoot, your shot comes out faster. You can hold down the trigger, standing around, walking around, and just hold down your trigger, and your gun will shoot every single time it can. But if you combine, shooting, wall bouncing, and still holding your trigger, your shot will always come out faster, no matter what. And why is that a thing? We don't know, because it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense at all. You should be able to shoot as soon as you be able to shoot, no matter what. An animation should not allow you to shoot.
I've never actually tested that. I always just assumed it was like the timing of things being off on your screen online. I never knew that was a thing, actually.
Yo, Avlex, thank you so much for the sub. Let me get some free burgers and some ODs in the chat for our newest subscriber. Appreciate you stopping by and appreciate the subscription. But like you said, that was a good explanation. I don't think a lot of people knew that. Like, I seriously, like, there's certain things and certain mechanics that I don't think that people understood quite a bit. And when it comes to some of these gameplays, and when it comes to the reason why people ask, like, or people have the desire to play more than one way, I think that there's just a lot of different mechanics. And I guess the follow up to this, I mean, right now we're sort of talking about Gears 5. I mean, do we? I mean, I guess I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. It sounds like none of us have either. Like, it sounds like from the videos I've seen, it still looks like it's in Gears 5. Do you guys agree that that's kind of what it looks like?
It looks like it's there.
Nooney's video made it look like it was there.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if it's just because of the camera, or maybe it's because of the game mode, or whatever it is. But it looks like it's.
Do you think lowering the base speed of the characters would be something that helps it? Because I know, like, everyone has said it feels slower. Like, the game feels slower movement wise. Like,
I
just
don't think neutering all forms of movement would improve the situation at all. If the up A speed, if up bang or doing whatever is still faster than running, you know.
Yeah.
Comes down to the weapon tuning. It's
Yeah.
like we haven't played multiplayer yet. The multiplayer reveal is next month, 2 weeks or whatever. So we have to see the whole product before we could really,
Yeah.
you know, this is all just from escape
think-
mode and, you know, the
I
movement
agree
support
the
and the weapon tuning.
The weapon tuning is a huge thing because there are some things in there that we already know, just like they're never gonna change. Like sensitivities are never gonna change
yeah, I think we all
more somehow.
I think we gave up on that one a long time
Dead
ago.
Yeah, dead zones aren't going away. Being able to air bounce as much as you do and probably the slide distance aren't gonna change. So
I mean, I wonder if they have changed the slip. I know it's hard to tell in escape because there's actually literally a perk that lets you take a bigger slip distance, so it's always hard to kind of judge that. But I mean, I know like at playtest, for example, like Node Zero was very receptive to the idea of the slip distance maybe being long and kind of the effects it can have. And to his point, like, which is very valid. And again, one thing that people don't think about is like we had a playtest. This is in the middle of the game. These maps are entirely engineered around certain slip distances. So like when the game is made, it's like not always as easy as just tweaking a line of code and it not having a trickle down effect to other portions of the game. And when the map is made with these slip distances in mind, you can't make that drastic change. But I wonder if, like I said, like those conversations, I know that they're thinking about them kind of when they develop this new game. And so that to me is one thing that I've been a big screamer about the slip distance. That's one thing I'm definitely looking out for on the new game. But it's like I said, sounds like this one might be in there, but you know, again, I'm with you guys. Like, it's kind of hard to tell until we kind of get our hands on it. Everything we're doing is pure speculation at this point. Like, again, none of us have put our hands on it yet. I know some of us have. We had Colin on here recently who has played it, but even then, like, the game was on land too, and everyone, I think, forever has always said that Gears of War across all titles feels slower on land in the first place. So I guess it's gonna be really kind of hard till we get online and start getting reaction shotted. I think that's the telling tale, because it sounds like that stuff's not going anywhere.
another thing I wanted to mention, it's not just up A's that give you a speed boost either. You also get it after finishing picking up a weapon, after finishing reviving someone, and after meleeing.
Yeah, supposedly you got it if you just meleeed and Rody ran at the same time, and
Yeah.
I used to do that just for fun, and I didn't
Yeah, you
realize
do.
that it was actually like a tactic, like
Re-
just melee and Rody run all
I didn't know that. I never knew
Yeah.
that.
I think they took
Yeah.
it out though. They
I
took
mean,
out the melee one.
Those things don't come into play as often, but it's still just stuff that's there that shouldn't be there.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, again, like more sort of the devil's advocate side of the up A speed boost. Like I said, it's I just wonder if there's other ways to balance things around it to where it can live in harmony with other things. And it sounds like, Jordan, you feel like weapon tuning is the number one thing.
Just give me a sawdust.
Jose, it sounds like you just want it abolished no matter what. Like, just get it out of there.
Well, I mean, go ahead, Jordan.
No, that was it. I agree. It's weapon tuning is a big part of it, and like I play fighting games and stuff, and there's so many mechanics in fighting games where, like, if you're losing, you get rewarded for losing, like a rage mechanic or
Comeback
I think
mechanic,
in-
yeah.
Yeah, comeback mechanics, and Gears of War almost has stuff like that because of the movement. And I think the up A speed boost is one of those mechanics where it just promotes, you know, lack of positioning, lack of thought. And I'm like trying to be like one of the most methodical players of all time. There should be a rhyme and reason for everything you do. You should always do something for a reason in those small engagements, in those fights. And Gears of War 4 kind of lost that and just turned it to like, I'm just going to turn my brain off and I'm just going to be a better mechanically sound player, but I don't have to outthink you at all or outposition you. It's bad, in my opinion.
So, I mean, I'm not with the. Okay, I guess I do want the up A speed gone, but if there's good weapon tuning, right? You can live with it.
What about stopping
Okay?
power?
I don't like stopping power. I mean, maybe a little
It
bit.
has
There's
to be a very minimal amount.
Yeah, there's stopping power in Gears 4. I mean, a lot of people don't know, but a sniper has stopping power. You know, like when you up
Yeah,
a
M bar.
M
I
bar
think
does
hammer
too.
burst in retro.
Yeah, so there is stopping power and it's there, but I mean, I don't know, man. Gears 2 stopping power gives me
Yeah,
nightmares.
nothing like that.
Oh, that
I
was
think last
nuts.
time I was on the show, we talked about stopping power a little bit, and what I said is like, if the Lancer just stopped someone from like, since they do now, and slowed them down by like a second, half a second, I feel like that would make positioning more reasonable. I mean, it wouldn't fucking stop people in their tracks, but it might give you enough time to get like the one more bullet you need for someone to not head down you from 50 feet away.
Yeah, yes, I feel like I see, and I this comes to mind just because I casted our UMG tournament last night, right? So of course it's a lot of high level gameplay, fast players, and there's so many situations it feels like, which I mean this is gonna happen, right? We have when the best players in the world are playing, it's gonna happen, but situations where like three players it felt like were lancering one person and they were able to just do some crazy piece of movement and chunk one before they died in a way that should never happen in the first place, right? Like I feel like almost always in a situation where there's three guns shooting at one person, like they should probably drop, but it seems like people are always managing to get away with kills, and even more so in situations where there's two people, right? Because like right now I feel like in this game this feels like to me the hardest game ever to play a 2v1. I'm not sure if you guys
Yeah.
agree with that. Like
100%.
that has
It's
had
easier to play a 1v1 than it
I would
is
have
a
it-
2v1.
anxiety watching you guys play 2v1s back when I was a coach, and like I had to watch all 5 screens, right? Like actual anxiety because like if you
The best players in the game giving you anxiety trying to
right,
kill
like
you.
because like you just like like
I was the worst at 2.
yeah, I remember. It's
My
like
teammate gets outpaid, and now the other guy has not only does he have momentum and
Momentum.
confidence, but he has speed coming at me. So now it's like
That's like a freight train,
I used to
dude. Like
hold- I would hold my shot and then not even shoot, and just get shot.
All I remember is like I'm nervous. It's over.
yeah, no, like it's seriously
But,
like it's like nerve wracking.
No, hold on. You kind of said it earlier, and this is just me like adding some conversation about this because I didn't believe this, but recently I saw a tweet that kind of made me believe in this. Did you guys ever hear about like back in Gears 1, like those days, and even up until now, like I've heard this even now, that when you are full red, your shots hurt more.
That was
Have you ever heard that?
wasn't
I've
that
heard it.
wasn't that your
I
team,
thought it
Chris?
was
That was
always
Get
just a
Bronco.
myth.
That
No,
was
we
deep.
never-
That was I'm pretty sure that was Brad.
Power
No.
shot. What was
That was yeah, no, it was like, or it was Asmo. I think it was Asmo. It was someone in your camp, Chris. It was.
I promise you, no one on my team ever thought
I
that.
need to find this, bro. It's there somewhere.
Okay.
The power
Okay,
shot.
but
Wait for it though, Frank. Like you would shoot.
It was
your
called,
teammate,
bro. I
and
swear it
then
was called the power
was
shot. Like someone.
power shot, right? It was the power shot.
Yeah.
It was like no, yeah. If you're
Oh.
full red, your shots hurt
Say
more.
that was Tyler.
Yeah.
Okay, now hold on. So I heard that right way back when I was like, nah, that's stupid. Like, why would they ever do that? Whatever, right? I'm not kidding. Like, we could literally search for it. But this year, I think I saw it was either this year or last year. I saw somebody like retweet a Cliffy B tweet, and he literally said in campaign, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was something in that was added a multiplayer by mistake. He said if you were hurt, the more you were hurt in campaign, the more your shots hurt. He said
Campaign
it.
though. He said specifically campaign.
I
though,
know
right?
that. I know, but come on, bro. Like listen, how many things slide through and you just don't know?
Bro, the power shot was deadass a joke with like me and Knock and Poseidon and stuff back in the day. So like that was definitely like a theory. Like that was a thing. The power shot. Even
yeah,
even
a
Shmez.
lot
Shmez in
of-
chat right now. Yeah.
A
Like,
lot of people would definitely like argue for it right now. And
If
the person in my camp that used to say it was Tyler Nightmare, if anybody remembers him.
I remember.
yeah. Okay, maybe
No
it's him.
comeback mechanics. There's no place for it. And if it is
I-
a thing, and I would hope the coalition finally would I could see Epic letting it slide through and not telling anybody anything. But the coalition, if they did keep that in, they would tell. I feel like they would tell us. They,
I
they
think
would
that's
let
a
us know
code,
that that's a thing.
but that could be code that's like hidden somewhere. Like you just
No.
don't know.
They get paid
It's
too much.
spaghetti code.
No.
No, I'm serious. What do you mean they get paid too much, bro? How many things that we find that they don't know? Like there's a million things that we
Incense
find.
killing
that
through
they don't know.
walls.
That's blatant. Like
Yeah,
they literally have charts of the damage of the bullets in comparison to old games and this game.
Well,
Like, there's
okay,
no way they would let something like that
But
slide.
all those but think about it. All those stats are when they're full health.
Yeah. Yo,
Fucking
yo,
hate you, bro.
we gotta get we gotta get in the lab, bro. We should do like
They're sitting there full health just shooting. Okay, these pellets hurt this much. These pellets hurt this much. They're
Oh,
never getting
no.
shot at. You never know. Just saying.
hey, I mean,
There should not be a comeback mechanic in shooters. I think we all agree with that.
Doesn't belong in any game,
Yeah,
really.
we
You
gotta
should
get in the
get
lab.
creative
Yeah,
with
it doesn't. I agree with you.
Send this to Node, bro. I'm doing it right now.
speaking of that, though, I do want one thing I love that Node Zero was doing at the end of Gears 4 was they did and it kind of spawned from the playtest that Jordan, you and I went to. Remember those Cog in the Machine videos they would do?
Huh? No. What?
Remember the Cog in the Machine videos that Node Zero would put out, and it spawned because remember at our playtest he showed us the system where like remember the shotgun had like the lines of the pellets coming out, and he showed us like
Oh, yeah.
why
Oh,
things
yeah,
come in certain
yeah.
ways, and we're like, dude,
Yeah.
this is like amazing. Like if you showed this to people, like you would probably get way less like hate messages about why things don't make sense. Like this is like eye opening, and then they started making these videos Cog in the Machine. I don't know if it was because of our playtest, maybe it was, maybe it
Okay,
wasn't.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But
now,
like yeah, so they started making those videos. I would love to see like more of those like early on in Gears 5 maybe like right to kind of stop the bleeding because I felt like there was like a year plus of Gears 4 of people like complaining where they finally got some like reasoning behind why something's the way it is. So I think like the more transparency from them the better, and like I think that's things like that they kind of already have in place, and so I would love to see more things like that in the future because that would answer some of these questions, right? Like what if he can answer,
course.
hey, like here's why the up A speed boost is a thing, or here's why this is a thing, and he break down the actual coding behind it. Okay, like this can happen if this happens, this can happen if that happens. Like that makes things make more sense because like do you remember when like the shotgun at first was coming out of like the elbow instead of the gun, and then they switch back and then switch over, and you're like, what? Like,
Yeah.
it sounds like it's insane, but it's like, no, that's actually the case because otherwise you can get camera shot, and this, and the other can happen, and the trajectory changes, and this, that, like, and you're like, okay, like that kind of makes sense now, right? And like, I feel like there's so many of those out there that we don't know about that would be, I think, would alleviate some of like the speculation. Because like there's like
I would
it's
love
like
that.
the hive mind nowadays too. Like if someone like puts a crackpot theory out and it like kind of sounds cool, like if the right people believe in it and agree with it, like it just spreads like wildfire. Right now, everyone believes it.
Yeah, but you wanted the facts to be out, like you said,
Right.
transparency. That's so much more important to information because then the competitive community and the content creators could come together and they could make sure that they're pushing out like the truth and there's no like speculation. Like even us now, players that have been competing for 10 years, we still aren't sure whether you shoot harder shots when you're full red. Like that, we should know. Like the game that we've so-called mastered and played for countless hours, we should know. And if we don't know, the developers should teach us.
You know, I'm gonna have Toast make me like an overlay that's like in a lab with like test tubes and beakers everywhere and stuff, and we're gonna start testing this shit out on stream. We're gonna build the transparency.
Right. Yeah. That's gonna get shut down.
We're gonna do it.
You're gonna,
We're gonna do a stream on
from Microsoft.
We're gonna do a stream on the power shot. We're gonna call it whoever we gotta call it from the Get Bronco camp, and we're gonna find the power shot
You're gonna get reported for blasphemy.
for blasphemy.
Another thing people don't talk about, speaking of like just stupid mechanics or things we don't understand, the whole way your character breathes and it actually changes where your shot comes out.
What do you
Like-
mean?
In the game, your character breathe. If you're standing still, your character like breathes and they like kind of like jostle up and down. It's actually kind of like in an oval motion, and your shotgun, say like there's this box, your shot can come out in different places in this box depending on what part of your breathing cycle you're in. It was
Yeah,
way more
yeah.
noticeable in UE, but it existed in Gears 4 also.
You can't hold your breath like in a Call of Duty game with a sniper, right? So like, there's no way of.
Yeah, you could miss a pellet in like one frame of a second and hit that pellet in another frame of a second just based off of that breathing.
Bob, I've used every excuse for why I've lost a fight, but what?
I'll say, what if Jordan knew?
It's an excuse.
Here comes the power shot.
My character was breathing.
Oh god, thank God Jordan didn't know about that.
It's my character.
I made a
third
video.
cycle.
I made a video with Ashes made a video with me helping him display it.
I'm gonna watch that. I
pretty
didn't know that.
Early in Gears 4. I can try and find it real quick.
I'm in my third cycle of breathing, dude.
I'm
just
saying,
on the
dude,
left.
my Apple Watch like it kind of tracks breathing and
you-
stuff too.
I mean, how ridiculous is that though that you can miss a pellet because of your fucking character trying to look lifelike?
Hey man, if you're tired in the battlefield, bro, and you huffing and puffing, like the armor's kind of heavy, you never know.
Yeah, you come out of a roadie run and you look like a Call of Duty sniper after they're holding the left stick.
That
Oh,
see that could, there could be some balancing for the up A speed boost, right? You
we-
breathe differently.
Yeah, I mean,
There, we're getting
while
there.
we're at it, let's make the same hitboxes for everybody. You know, I still don't think we have the same hitboxes, but it's all good. Don't worry about it.
I think we do in this one. See, my whole thing has actually been to me like even though the hitboxes, this is always my crackpot theory behind it. Even though the hitboxes, let's say they were all the same, let's say Ram has the same hitbox as Anya. To me, like it never seemed fair because like the visual difference and like what the effect I can have on like your brain of like, oh, I'm shooting at a smaller target. Like it naturally feels harder to shoot at a smaller target than it feels to shoot at a walking
Right.
balloon.
Even if it's not a literal
Right.
hitbox difference, the visual thing matters.
Right, that to me matters. Like it'll naturally feel much harder to shoot at 5 Anyas than 5 Palace guards or whatever the hell that massive linebacker character is. Like,
Yeah.
I think the character hitboxes are the same, and they better be in Gears 5.
so classic Baird, broken, not broken. Gears 3.
In Gears 3 he was, yeah. So was Big Rig Dizzy and
Nah, he wasn't. Bro.
Savage Canis. Yes, they were.
I always saw didn't someone prove that like classic Baird actually was broken? Like, didn't someone actually make a video and prove it? I always thought it was bullshit. I always thought just people were looking for
I don't know.
excuses.
Nasty, the only reason Nasty ever killed me in Gears 3 was because of classic. Literally.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, before we move on, I guess any final thoughts? I know we hit that base speed was pretty hard, and we kind of went a different direction. Any kind of final thoughts, real quick, on sort of that mechanic, or any? It's the chat. I'll open up to you guys real quick. Do you guys have any final questions on that base speed boost? Any parts of it clarify? I know we kind of threw some weird verbiage out there, so if you guys have any questions, kind of about that base speed boost, the effect that some people might feel it has, I'll give you guys a quick minute or so to ask any of those before we move on.
Let's bring back the Gears 2 roll speed boost where everybody's rolling over and over again because you come out of a roll quickly.
Everyone rolling out of spawn, yeah, like that. Yeah,
It was a similar thing, right? Like you come out of the roll just like coming out of an up A, and you would take those first few steps would be a little bit quicker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd rather that than up A.
I'd rather that and run like a tank than run like a fucking jet and turn into a fucking spaceship.
Little crackhead.
They get roller skates on.
Literally.
Alrighty, well, I think we're gonna move on. Jordan, do you by any chance take a look at that podcast I sent you earlier?
Oh yeah, I listened to it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you'll have a little bit of insight too on this. So the final thing that we were talking about earlier, and Jordan and I was having a little discussion about this kind of prior, has been the biggest differences actually that we noticed in the marketing for Gears 5 versus prior Gears titles. And I was a little curious why, and I listened to a podcast this morning that Rod Ferguson did with, I believe it was IGN, that answered some of those questions. But I wanted to make sure first and foremost that I wasn't crazy. Does it not? It feels like they're doing less aggressive marketing on Gears 5 than they have in prior games, right? Am I crazy, or has it been too long, or like does it feel like they've been marketing less? Bro,
I agree, yeah, they have some type of strategy.
They were sending people couches and shit for Gears. I think it was Gears 4. Remember that? Like I think Cream got like a Gears 4 couch in the mail. Like I feel like they were just hitting the marketing like crazy.
What about the fact that they went dark for a full year after announcing Gears 5 and having that small they had that small campaign trailer, right?
Right, and that's
in E3 2018, right? And then a year later is when we first started hearing more about. Literally, it was a year where they literally just went dark.
And that was a direct quote from Rod from the podcast, was like the fact that he said they did go dark, right? We heard about Gears 5, and then like I said, it felt like we heard absolutely nothing. And his reasoning behind it, and I got a lot of this written down, his reasoning behind it that he felt like when you do put things out, when you market a certain way, when you release certain piece of information, you light what's called like a hype fire, right? Like you light this fire of hype behind the game, and then you're basically from that point on responsible for like reigniting that fire and like relighting that hype fire, like with pieces of info, sort of like they're doing now, right? We're seeing things on kind of a weekly basis now. Like they're kind of starting that process now, but it just always felt like they started it so much earlier in the past. And again, I wasn't sure if I was crazy or not, but I guess I'm kind of curious of your thoughts on that strategy versus the prior strategy where it felt like they just threw the kitchen sink. I mean, do you remember how many influencers they had on Gears 4 stuff too, just throwing Xboxes everywhere? It felt like they were giving out just a psycho amount of Xboxes. It just feels like it's a much different strategy this year. And I'm curious your guys' thoughts. Is that maybe the industry changing? I mean, what do you guys think is some of the reason behind it? And do you guys think that it's a more effective strategy?
I think it's more the industry changing. I mean, you don't really see like a lot of games getting like ridiculous trailers, a year or 2 years out like they used to. Like even Halo comes out next year now?
Comes out like I'm pretty sure a new console now.
And a new console,
it's
right?
A year and a half.
But even the new console, like you don't really know much about it and it's a year away. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just a lot of things changing. But as far as like the whole Gears side of it, Gears 4, I didn't think they barely marketed Gears 4.
I
And
feel like
what I
they
mean by that,
slammed it. I feel like they slammed it.
no, no. They gave a lot of things to influencers and whatnot, but they didn't make like you didn't see anything cool or new about Gears 4 before it came out, other than here's a little bit of gameplay early, or here's some merch or things like that. Like that doesn't bring people to go and play the game or buy the game. Like the reason I bought Gears 1 in the first place was because of that. What was it? The what's the name of that song?
Mad World,
The Mad World trailer. Like
legendary.
how many people saw that
Iconic.
trailer? Yeah, how many people saw that trailer and was like, "What game is that? Like, what is even going on?" And it had nothing. I still to this day that trailer, like you see Marcus running around, right? But you never would have thought it's a third-person shooter. Like, it was just a cool trailer that brought you into the game, right? And I feel like they hit it right on the noggin with that, or not right on the noggin, but at least it was 10 times better at the E3 what they did with whole K thing and like whole campaign thing. Like obviously we're competitive players, so like we're not that into it, even though I do like playing the campaigns. But I thought it was actually a cool new way of bringing new people into Gears. Like it was like they did a whole presentation on it. They used a new game mode. They did a variety of things that they haven't done in a while. I mean, it's been a while since they've really like gone into it like that. And it's close to release time. I think that's the best thing about it. Being this close to release time, they're bringing that hype. That they started that hype, like you said. They're adding new notes basically every other week now, or every week. And I just feel like they're doing it the right way this time. Gears 4 was more like, here's the game, and hope you guys like it. Like there just wasn't no backstory. Hopefully we get the old Gears fans to come out and buy the game, but they weren't kind of bringing in new fans.
So I was surprised about that too. That the campaign. I think we talked. Chris, I can't remember if you were on this episode. We talked about like the E3. Was it Colin? I
Yeah.
think we talked about the E3. We broke it down, and my biggest surprise was that we didn't see that kind of situation you mentioned, where like he stands on stage with a controller in his hand. He plays a few minutes of campaign. He broke down in the podcast why it's hard to do that and why. And he was even surprised that so many people wanted to see it. And he said the quote I have is like, basically that he believes in what they did. Like they believe in what they showed and in the way they showed it, being what's best. And like I said, he was, if anything, surprised that so many people asked about why didn't we see the traditional, like, because the time frame they kept throwing was 6.5 minutes. Like you have 6.5 minutes to show something. That was like the time frame he kept throwing. And he goes, when you do a campaign mission, you have to find one that like isn't just you shooting at bots. You have to show scenery, you have to show this, you have to show that. You can't show too much, you can't show too little. Then you get all these flaring expectations about this. And so he said that they kind of believe in what they did. And like I said, the timeline now they work on to re-bring that up, that phrase about lighting the fire is like, basically what they do is they started that timeline now with E3, the reigniting the flame thing. So they started with E3, and now they're hitting it every month after that, right? The following month now, June was E3, July is going to be E-League, right? And then the next time it's going to be Horde, right? And then it's going to be game launch, right? We're here, right? So they hype it up, they launch it up, and then you have a month of this. Okay, that changes. Now you have a big month lighting this up, then you have a big month lighting that up. And so like, it's almost like they're condensing like the whole marketing play into a much shorter time than we used to see. We're used to games being marketed for like 2 years at a time nowadays, right? I mean, especially a AAA title, a console flagship title. So that was very interesting. I always get the whole idea of marketing games nowadays is so weird to me, just because, like I said, we've seen so many different strategies come to life. We've seen Apex Legends drop a game out of absolutely nowhere. No one had any idea it's coming out. They dropped it with no marketing, and then just dropped the most crazy amount of influencer marketing we've ever seen into it, and then it grew a game with 50 million players, right? So like that can work. So like that proves that like you don't need to market a game for 2 years in order to make it work. So the whole idea of like the way these companies are marketing games with the way the industry has shifted is so crazy. And I also wonder if it has to do with the social media influence and the social media aspect of things, where like, are you gonna piss off fans early when even though they haven't touched the game yet, right? Like we're having conversations about things we haven't touched even on here today, right? Like is it maybe even mitigating some of the hate by starting that process so much later, so you don't have 2 years of potentially unhappy people if there's a certain thing that they latch onto that they don't like early. So to me it's been interesting to see, and I'm curious how it's going to play out versus I guess the traditional like year and a half, 2 years of like billboards and like said like certain pieces of influencer marketing, commercials, this that, and the other. I don't think is there even a Gears 5 commercial on TV at all?
I don't think so.
I don't think there is. There has been in past titles, right? Of course, Mad World was on TV.
There's no way there hasn't been.
I don't think there has been, and I honestly I don't think there has been since like
I remember the Gears.
Gears
2
3.
one.
I think Gears 3 had one.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the Gears.
Didn't
maybe
they?
it's the Gears
Didn't like they
one.
sponsor like UFC events? Like I remember like seeing like Gears like presented by Gears of War 3 like on a UFC event.
I do remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And that was Gears 3.
I think that was Gears 3.
But I don't remember. I don't remember if they had.
And one more quote before I get you guys' opinions. One more quote that I wrote down that I thought was interesting from Rod when it talked about sequels, right? Because like, okay, like you guys are on Gears of War 5 now. Like that's a lot of games. Like, and that's not even counting Judgment, right? So like that's a lot of games. Like, how do you kind of mitigate, doing too much, doing too little? The title they brought up in comparison was like Halo. How people got mad at what they did with Halo. The whole idea of like over innovating and stuff. And what Rod kind of said like sequels are about managing the betrayal of expectations. And you gotta kind of think about it, right? And like, those betrayals can come in one of two ways, right? Do you betray your fans by giving them the same game they had prior with nothing new? Like, do you betray them that way, or do you betray them too much to the point where it no longer feels like Gears of War? So it becomes the fact like the sequels now you're managing and towing the line between like these two quote unquote betrayals, right? Of like doing too much or doing too little. So that was actually that to me is one of the quotes that stuck out the most out of the entire hour-long thing, because like you have guys like us who probably want things like older games had, right? But there's a lot of people who like new things. They like innovation, right? We have a whole new wave of new players who think that things we like are stupid, right? So like Rod unfortunately has to be the guy that has to make both of us happy, along with the rest of the studio.
He's going to make sure it's true to Gears.
Right.
And he said even if it becomes a bad product, at least it'll be bad and still be true to Gears. So that's optimistic, I guess.
Yeah, my boy Matt in the chat, Gears 5 BR. I've in a prior episode, I went to the moon about how I want a Gears BR more than anything in the world. Jose, real quick, what's your thought on Gears 5 BR? Possible, not possible? They haven't said anything about it, so I'm not gonna say I'm worried, but like, do you think it could work?
Happening, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not happening.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
bro.
mean, we could get the next best thing with like some sort of big
Unless
map
that's
for
what
Wingman.
arcade is.
If I get like Wingman, FFA, I mean, of course I want BR the most. I had to rank them all. BR the most, FFA the next, and then Wingman the third. But
I mean, the thing is,
Yo, they-
Wingman is basically duo BR. That's
It
what
is.
it is.
Yeah.
So it's like
But
if
there's
we
no
could-
gas.
yeah, what if that multiplayer test comes out and like, yo, by the way, like, test out our new fucking BR mode.
Right.
Yo,
Ryan, wake up.
no,
Grow up.
I'm not going to work. I'm streaming BR all day.
I'm not going to work.
No, I'm serious. Like if I can see like a Wingman on a big map, like on just like maybe double the size of like the regular maps, and maybe there. I mean, I don't know if there'd be like some sort of gas. I doubt that. I don't know. We've always said though, like how many times have people said like a Gears BR where like the crew like
Hell yeah.
comes around? You know what I'm saying? Like that would work. 100% it would work, but.
How sick would like a 50v50 be, where like 50 people are locusts that pick where to come out of the ground, and then 50 people are cog that pick where to jump out of a raven? Be sick.
Yeah, that'd be fire.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like just something can be done. I don't know about 50 though. I think that's too many. Imagine that many people like in a Gears game like trying to shotgun each other, right?
I'm telling you, bro. It would be so
I mean,
unique.
it'd be a big map.
Yeah.
What was the Gears 3 map that was like 6 maps in the sandbar? Am I thinking the right one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sandbar.
That was-
Halo was pretty big.
That was one of the games that launched with Gears 3, and I remember. Do you guys remember like there was a group of players? Like I know Vicious had it. I think Shane did. All those guys that had the game early. I know because Poseidon was one of them. Do you guys remember that? Like and people would scrim. Remember there's that group of like there was a group of like 10 players on Gears 3 who had it like a week and a half early.
Yeah.
Like, I think some mom and pop in New York like let people buy it.
It's always
Yeah.
mom and pop
It's
shot.
always
Yep.
it's always
And
been,
so like Poseidon would like stream on a side account so I could watch it and stuff, and like they would that ass scrim on Sandbar, like this is giant beach map. It was
I
always
remember
so funny.
playing GBs on it, or Rose and Puff.
I mean, shit, that could be basically a BR map on its own. The thing was massive. But I think the BR conversation can go 10 different ways. I guess circling a little bit back to the marketing thing, I guess, I know, Chris, you didn't really get a chance to talk about kind of the marketing stuff. What are your kind of thoughts on their timeline, their strategy this time versus prior titles?
I really like the timeline thing and how they're doing multiple betas instead of just. I
Yeah.
mean, they're doing the escape testing at Microsoft stores, and then they're doing a beta for multiplayer and a beta for Horde. I think that's a good, different approach to what they've done before. It gives different people different things to do on a month-to-month basis instead of just like all right, here's our 1 or 2 week beta, and then you have to wait 2 months until the game comes out. You get a steady stream of different introductions to the game. I think that's a good thing. As far as like how little they've shown so far, um, I guess instead of advertising, it's just gonna be like getting your hands on it on those free betas is gonna be the advertising for the game. Um, I'm sure they have a bunch of research and experience with previous titles about how they wanted to do this. So it's not like they're making uninformed decisions about how they're marketing the game. Um, I mean, games like you mentioned Apex, but also Fortnite. Like BR was just released on that game as like an afterthought to some shitty Horde style game they created.
Save the
right?
world.
Yeah, and there, I don't remember ever hearing about any marketing. Someone was just like, "Yo, this game Fortnite made a BR and it's sick."
Yeah, Pete Nubb. I think it was Pete Nubb got like just tasked because he's the technical lead on it. He got like tasked with like build BR for this game, and like Pete like went and built it. Like that's like
And they just
the
dropped
low key
it.
story. Yeah, like because I mean, Save the World started their development in like 2012. You remember Cliffy B's actually the one that announced Fortnite. Like no one knows that. Like that was before Cliff left Epic. Like one of the last things Cliff like I guess had a hand in or announced was like Fortnite, and this is back in like 2012. And then of course fast forward to today, it's been the biggest splash in like gaming history. But yeah, like I said, it makes a lot of sense when you take a step back and look at it. At first, it sounds like wow, they're starting so late. Like they feel like they didn't show us anything at E3. Like, and then you look at the timeline, you're like, okay, like this actually makes sense. And then you couple that when you hear the logic behind what Rod said about like the idea of having to mitigate like relighting that fire over and over and rehyping things up, and then of course you have like the expectations on both ends, and then almost condensing the process. And for Gears, I guess they can do that because it's a legacy title. So like nowadays, like the average gamer for the most part that plays console knows probably what Gears of War is in some capacity. So I guess they sort of have a luxury of not having to like show you a lot of new things that they've never before seen. It's not like they have to like reintroduce everyone to the cover system, right? Like if you know what Gears is, you know what the cover system is. And so I guess that's part of the I guess one of the variables too is that they're a little ahead of the curve in terms of like showing people things. Because 80% of the game has been the same, for forever. It's just that extra 20% is like what is in my eyes what is unique across every title.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't wait to see the maps. That's what I'm most excited to see, actually.
Another thing I thought of, I think it might make people more excited to watch E-League specifically. They don't know anything about what the game looks like, and also just to play the betas instead of having like, I don't really care about playing that.
I love the
Based on
Horde beta
what I've
too.
seen.
The idea of the Horde beta, like we always say it, like don't forget there are more Horde players than there are players like us. Like there's even a chunk of I can't remember what the stat is. There's a chunk of players who have played insane amounts of Horde and have never even launched a multiplayer game before. Like that's crazy to me. And so it's cool to kind of show some love to them too. And ideally, maybe psychologically, I don't know, maybe they see that timeline and they see that they're getting a beta that maybe makes them a little more inclined to try the multiplayer beta first. I mean, you never know, but I like the idea of kind of catering over to everyone. But any kind of I guess last thoughts? Anything I missed here when it comes to the marketing? Any pieces you guys noticed that didn't stick out to me? Anything in that podcast, Jordan, that you like that I haven't mentioned?
Oh yeah, they were just talking about the grand scheme of things and how Microsoft, I think, spent $2 billion to buy Gears of War from Epic or something like that.
Because they asked if it's a trilogy. They're like, oh, is this a trilogy now that like you bought it with 4, 5, and 6 in mind? Like,
yeah, and not to mention something we haven't talked about is like how they're making these different games too. So like obviously Gears of War is rated M, and we're never gonna really reach like the 12-year-olds that play Fortnite and stuff like that. But then they're bringing in like Gears of War Pop, which is like I don't even know what to expect from that, but that could like kind of cater to like the families and stuff. And then you also have the RTS game
Gears
that's
Tactics,
coming out.
yeah.
Which I don't play games like that, but I know there's a lot of people that would love to play a real-time strategy Gears of War game.
It's on PC too. It's gonna start on PC.
Right, and then we talked about Steam, so it seems like Microsoft definitely doubled down. And for someone like me that loves Gears, and all you guys could agree, having them use all their different avenues and spend this much effort is exciting for us. Not to mention the Gears of War movie is confirmed. I think Rod said they're already working on the script.
Yeah, they're talking about casting and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's dope. I mean, that hopefully it's a good movie because most video game movies are pretty bad. But Rod said that. He said before anything, it has to be it's going to be a good movie, a good war movie, and then it'll be a Gears of War movie. After we make sure it's a good movie.
To build on that,
that's cool.
the phrase you chose was doubling down. A quote actually from there is that they're actually tripling down on Gears. That was the phrase Rod said. He goes, we're tripling down, and so that's why I always laugh when I see the people on the Twitter saying like, oh, like the Gears is dead. Like, why do you try? Like, they don't care. It's this and that. It's like, dude, like you said, they spent $2 billion to get the franchise. Like, and one thing maybe we can, I guess, build on a little bit here and talk about for a few minutes is another thing, Jordan, that just came to mind when Rod was kind of talking about this was Rod actually talked about esports. He said that we did esports with UE, and of course, we were limited, but they had no spectator options. We were limited to everything but just having the game, right? And so that was like our crawling phase. And then in Gears 4, we had more of those options, and we released a pro circuit, and we built relationships with tournament organizers, built relationships with esports organizations, players, and that was kind of our walking phase. He's like, we're not maybe quite ready to run, so to speak. He's like, but we're tying up our running shoes right now. So like that also tells me like esports, they're gonna really, I'm sure, throw some shit at us for Gears 5 esports too, which is good. I mean, obviously, Jose, you still compete. Chris, you still coach. Jordan and I are on the talent side of things. Like that's exciting for us, but more importantly, exciting for the fans because like you guys are going to get more. Yeah, Jordan. Well, Jordan might compete. Who fucking knows any days? But I assume you're not. I assume you're no longer competing.
No, I suck, man.
But yeah, like I said, there's a lot to look forward to. So whenever you see anyone like say like, they don't care, it's dead, why try? Like dude, there's a lot of shit coming, and we don't even know what it is. But like just logically speaking, like they have too much literally invested in this to not throw the kitchen sink at it.
Yep. And that's definitely reassuring for me. It's exciting whether I'm going to be playing, streaming, on the desk, whatever. It's just fun. It's cool, and it makes me happy as a Gears fan.
Chris, when you're done coaching, you gonna join us on the desk on the talent side?
I don't know. I like competing too much, I think. I'm really surprised Jordan isn't just fucking trying to play, dude. Fucking play.
Then if you don't win your first event, then your storyline
What?
goes away of last event winning. Like, I don't know, you get to, I wouldn't say right.
The way Benson and I literally talked at CWL Anaheim about a week ago, and he said like, go back and play if you want to play. Obviously you do. And then he said at the very least, like that time playing in the beginning of the game, if it doesn't work out, like it makes you more suited to be an analyst on the desk. Like you're more knowledgeable now. So that's one way of looking at it, like a win-win situation. And he's saying my position on the desk won't go anywhere. But yeah, we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Then you lose your storyline of winning the last event you played in.
And getting dropped.
I was gonna say you kind of see you rode off into the sunset, but you almost got like booted into the sunset. Like, they chucked your ass into the sunset, but like either way, like still a sunset,
Now I'm trying to be like Karma. Karma stopped playing at the end of the last Call of Duty game, right? And then he came right back, but he had a place like cemented on Optic. I would never come back to to play with like an AM team. No thanks.
They dropped him, and then he came back to play for them, and then they ended up
for them.
They won the first event.
Did they win the first
They won the first event in this game, and then they haven't won since.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, similar. I don't know if maybe you can convince Gilbert to give someone the boot for you, but
Optic? No, I'll never wear green.
Yeah, me and Jose have heard that before.
I heard it too.
That phrase is fraudulent, but
well, that's a topic we could talk about too. Do you think Optic is They said that they're gonna keep their Call of Duty franchise, right? Optic is cemented in Call of Duty, and then they're keeping their League of Legends team. Do you think the Gears of War guys are going to be on Optic still, or do you think the whole Infinite Esports and Immortals thing is going to make it to where they don't care about Gears enough to stay in Gears, and now that roster needs to find a new home?
I mean, I hope they see the value in keeping them because they're one of the last few teams that their Optic fans have latched onto. Like, I know that like Gears isn't a game as big as Call of Duty or as big as a game as CS:GO, but like at the end of the day, like that's never what it's about with Optic. Like, the Optic fans like the Halo team, for example, more than the CS:GO team, right? They latch onto that Halo team more, and so the Optic and Optic's brand and their fans, like the size of the game doesn't really matter that much. It's like the players that they connect to and they feel like they have a relationship with, and so I would hope they see the value in that. I mean, big business might not feel the same way, but big business, Immortals is obviously a becoming a conglomerate at this point in terms of like the esports world. We still don't know what's happening yet. Like I saw Hitch tweeting some angry stuff still. It's all speculation. I saw Twitch tweeting Hitch tweeting no Hector, no Optic. You see like they're releasing a lot of staff. Typo, I think, is no longer with them even. I'm not sure if he left on his own or not, but a group of those staff are no longer with them, so they're making some kind of moves. Who knows? I mean, like I said, hopefully they see the value in keeping Optic authentic, because at this point, I mean, Gears, they've been with Gears for a while now. That was part of their sort of authentic brand.
I mean, as long
I
as
hope
they
so.
stay in Gears, they get to say they have the
A
most
dynasty.
successful
Yeah.
esports team of any game ever.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, even if they don't win in a single event in Gears 5, they can still claim that. Like, I doubt anyone's ever gonna do what they did again.
yeah, the
Unless
two.
they just keep doing it, I guess.
As
That
someone who
kinda
like
is
works,
what happens.
as someone who works on that kind of side now in the back end, like what I can tell you, like the two number one teams right now to monetize are, of course, like Optic, and then like the Ghost guys because of the Latin American region, right? And like and then it's a fairly, as of right now, sort of a drop off in terms of like how easy it is to monetize them. And of course, it's gonna get better, but like you can monetize the shit out of those guys. They win everything. Like so, there's some personalities in that team, and obviously, no one's better at monetizing players and building brands than Optic, or at least the beginning of Optic. So I would hope they see the value in it. But again, you never know.
I think Optic will keep them, but if they were to lose one, I think they'd be gone. I think
No,
they're
100%. I mean, there are only like two teams left now. CS:GO announced that they're looking for a new home. So the only thing that's left is Call of Duty, which, by the way, is going to franchising. So the Call of Duty players will never wear an Optic Gaming logo again because there's franchising. So
Yeah.
that's shot. So now like Gears is like the only Optic Gaming roster really, because the LCS brand, I believe, is being rebranded to Immortals. So once this splits over, they're no longer going to be an LCS. I think the Houston Outlaws are getting sold, if I read correctly. So it's like, as of right now, they're like going to be very soon the only team wearing the Optic logo. As of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'd be hard to see that. I mean, it'd be really hard to see them keeping the Gears team. Just financially, just doesn't make sense. And they've shown that they don't care about their fans basically. Saying like, oh, we want to keep these guys are the biggest. And like you said, Gears is I think right behind COD when it comes to their fans. Like a lot of Optic fans love the Gears team.
So they win. They win.
Yeah,
They bring
win,
trophies
but
home.
It's not just winning.
But you
though,
can't
it's their
compare it to the
personalities.
COD.
No, I know, but I'm saying like
No,
that's
no,
one
you
of the
can't
reasons
compare
why
it.
their fans have
Optic
latched
COD
on
is
is because
just a
like
whole different beast.
their fans get to
No,
go
no,
into the
I
chat.
know.
Their fans get to go into the chat and watch their team win. Optic fans love that more than anything, right? I mean, then they get to shoot Vision.
Any fan.
Right, and then they get to shoot Vision and talk about the events and show the cool footage of them holding. Like I said, that was a big reason why they latched on, I think. And like, of course, like I said, there's some cool personalities in that team, but like I said, the Optic fans love them. Like that's just one of their it's one of their teams. It never, like I said, it never really mattered what the strength of the game was. They fucking loved Halo and the Halo team so much, right? And Halo was in a similar position as us.
Right until they lost them. They lost and they got the boot.
No, but I'm saying the fans.
Oh, okay.
No, the Optic fans. I'm not talking about the management. The management, Infinite, did what they did. Like, I'm talking about the Optic fans loved the Halo team.
Yeah.
But again,
know.
I don't know. We all, just like anyone else, we got to see what kind of pans out there. I mean, it's
It also, you know what though? It also depends on what the coalition announces as far as the future for Gears Esports.
Yeah.
Because if we continue doing what we've been doing as far as like the pro circuit and stay around the same amount, I mean, at the end of the day, like a lot of these orgs have walked away because it doesn't benefit them in a lot of different ways. Like paying all these salaries and barely making anything out of it. Like even with the percentage, they don't make their money back.
Yeah.
So if they don't if the coalition doesn't announce something that benefits the orgs, like I can see all the orgs. But if we do get, what if we get a huge pro league? We don't know. With this e-league, relationship building, with this reveal, we don't know if some sort of pro league's in the works. So if it is, would that bring in other orgs, and would that be enough for Optic to keep their Gears? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised I haven't got asked so far. The question I get asked the most when I do these is like, hey, because I just have Echo Fox logo here, Echo Fox logo there. Like, is Echo Fox going to come back in Gears 5? And like, my answer is always, and I've told Microsoft this, my answer is always like, I would absolutely love to, right? It's just, it has to be the right situation. It has to make sense for both sides, and it has to have some sort of, I guess, stability. And Microsoft's very aware. I'm sure they're very aware of this. I mean, they were watching the same thing we watch, right? They've seen people come and go, and they've heard reasons why. And again, as long as there's some incentive for the organizations, an opportunity to maybe monetize some aspects of the game or whatever it may be, right? Just to make it a relationship versus just sponsoring players in the game. That's always going to benefit it.
Yeah, United wasn't fond of the way the program was either. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, as soon as like the last roster change we made, like I think that's what was like the last straw. But they were already unhappy before that.
like I said, they made baby steps. Like I said, they crawled, then they walked, then they're gonna run. Like they made steps. They gave us the Lancers that had rev shares on them, right? Like things like that. Like there was steps taken to show that they want to get there, right? And they again, like I have full confidence in them to do it right in Gears of War 5, right? Again, this whole it sounds crazy to us that like to Coalition, like they're only still pretty fresh in Gears Esports, right? They're only a couple years into Gears Esports. Guys like us, we've been in Gears Esports for like 10, 12 years now, but they haven't been. So like to them, they're building a program, and the industry is way different now than it was when we played 10 years ago, whatever. So like things are very different. So I have full confidence in them to make things right, to do things the right way, and give us a really good circuit for
Make
Gears
the
5.
movie good. Who should be Marcus?
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis? What about Sylvester?
Oh.
Apparently Dave Bautista has been like begging for the role. Remember they talked about it on the podcast?
Yeah, he wants that role. He's been saying that for a long time as
Go.
Marcus.
Bruce
he could
Willis.
play as Marcus.
Bruce Willis. That's my Marcus. Put a bandana on him. Barbosa. Get Barbosa.
Right.
Bandana.
I wonder if when they rumored that movie like way long ago, I think they had John Travolta. Like they did like they put like a durag on him, and he looks just like him.
Steven Seagal. Big shout out Vic.
Shout out to
Sylvester Stallone. He's Rambo.
Boxing gloves on Marcus.
Right.
I don't know.
That movie is good, and that could bring a lot of awareness. Those other Gears of War games coming out, Gears being on Steam.
I'm
Matthew
seeing
McConaughey can be dizzy.
Ryan Gosling is Baird. I'm seeing a Keanu in the chat. I mean, nowadays in video games, throw Keanu in the mix and you're winning. So that could be the answer.
Him and Norman Reedus.
Who do you guys in the chat think would be good cast characters for Gears? We'll go. Let's see.
Norman Reedus
would be a good Dizzy. Yeah.
Yeah. Norman Reedus is dizzy.
Yo.
Who would be Dell?
Keanu Reeves would have to be like Adam Phoenix or something. I feel.
Then we got to think about too. What era would the characters be? Like, or sorry, what era would the movie be in? Like, would it be like the Gears 1 time with the Gears 1 characters, the Gears 2, 3?
I think they said in the podcast that it's not necessarily canon.
Huh.
So.
Who's gonna play the Locust Queen? They got to make the Locust Queen bad. Who would the Locust Queen be?
Angelina Jolie.
That's what I.
Yo, that would actually be a super good one. That
Scarlett Johansson's Anya.
I was thinking that too. Or
it's Anya. I feel the Anya character has to feel a little older almost. I feel like Scarlett almost feels like her Marvel character, and I feel like I don't know. That's like what comes to mind.
Cameron Diaz.
Can you imagine Cameron Diaz in an action flick though? Nah.
Come on, put her in COG gear.
Yo, the Coltrane, yeah, like Jackal said, the Coltrane voice actor needs to be the one to play Coltrane. If I recall, he's also absolutely buff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be perfect.
Yeah, he just copy paste him in there.
Yes. Uma would be perfect.
Yeah, we should do like a whole separate cast of like if we were to cast the Gears movie, just across the board, just get like every marquee character across the franchise and like
do a draft. Just like we all just pick like
our cast.
Potential market. Yeah, exactly. Like we just have like our top 5 for each fucking character.
Then we got like again, the new age characters, like who would play like JD Phoenix, who would play like Dell, Kate.
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. could play all the characters at this.
Chris Pratt could be fucking someone.
Yeah.
Wait. Who would be a Dom though? That's the real question. Like, can you think of like, let me see. Or what's that guy's name?
Oh, Dom, that'd be
The
tough.
Rock.
Oh, not The Rock.
Yeah,
Dwayne Johnson.
I'll say The Rock's gonna find a way in that movie, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's no matter what, he's always like he'd be in an air conditioned room. He's always like looks like he's sweating. Like he's always like glistening. Like no matter what scene it is, like The Rock is sweating.
Just take that Jason Statham and the Rock movie and just turn that to the.
Yo, Ludacris has to be Jace.
Be bald beard.
Ludacris is gonna be Jace.
Dom is tough, bro. Like think of like Hispanic actors, because all Hispanic actors, they always turn them to like the cholo actors, bro. There's never like, I swear, like just think of like a Hispanic actor. The first thing that comes to mind is that one dude, that dude from Bruce Almighty, the dude that gets his like the monkey out of his ass. That dude's in every movie, and he's the cholo in every single movie, dude. Like I swear.
Fucking-
I don't
Who
know
would
who
be
could be
good?
Dom.
That's a
I
tough
think a
one.
while back someone said The Rock would be Dom.
The Rock can't be Dom,
Fucking-
bro. Dom needs some hair, bro.
I try to like Google like someone like Dom anywhere like
I'm,
fucking.
I'm looking up
Pit-
action movie actors right now.
I'm looking up actors and Pitbull came up.
I mean, I don't know.
What list am I
Yo,
looking at?
actually, you know what? The Rock could be Kim. Now, if you really think about it.
Ow.
The Rock is not Asian.
Oh, he's both.
He's not Asian. He's not pale
He
enough.
is Asian.
We gotta make
He's,
make Leslie Chow Kim.
he's Southeast Asian.
He's Pacific Islander.
Exactly. He's from Samoa.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's accurate, bitch. That's what it is.
I consider that's a Pacific Islander. Is that considered an Asian?
That's Southeast Asia. What? All right, bro. You've never. All right. You obviously didn't go to school.
He's not Kim. He's not Min Young Kim Asian. Okay.
Chris Hemsworth could be a good Baird.
Yeah, how you going?
Yeah, Vin Diesel will be Kim before The Rock. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, make my guy Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg, throw him in there.
Marky
Mark.
Mark.
You
Mark.
just said Vin Diesel. All right, bro.
What about
Vin
oh yeah?
Diesel,
What about
it could literally
Carmine?
be dumb.
Who'd be Carmine?
Just think of like the pussiest person you could think of.
Not Clayton Carmine though. Clayton Carmine's a unit.
At this point, Jordan could be fucking Carmine.
Who's he talking about?
Yeah, someone in the chat said, Jose, you could play Dom, no cap.
Right. At this point, if Yachty grew like fucking 20 inches, maybe.
Why are you coming at everybody right now? You call me pussy. You call Yachty short.
Man,
I'm gonna see you in like 2 weeks. You better bring that same energy to Atlanta.
you understand? Said
Yeah,
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta.
Said I was going to Atlanta.
What's up, Wicked
Oh.
Minds? Appreciate you stopping
Oh.
by. Trying to think who else we could cast right now in our Gears of War movie. We need to find a way to do this. I'm not good with like the overlay stuff, but like that'd be fun as hell to do like a casting call for like Gears. I think Angelina Jolie for the Queen would be absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
I think that would be incredible.
Someone said, I don't know how to say her name, Charlize Theron, or however you say her name, for Anya. That works. That actually really works.
Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah,
I
with
love
them,
Uma
that would be
Thurman,
a
but-
good one. That'd be a good one. What about
I think-
Sam,
What about Sam?
the character?
Damn. Oh, that one girl from Entrapment.
Me-
Fuck, what's that? Have you seen
Megan-
the Mask of Zorro?
Megan Fox.
She's too young though. Isn't Sam like the? Oh no, Sam. Which was the old one? Sam's the old one.
Bernie's the old one.
No, not Bernie.
Well,
No,
You're thinking of
Sam's.
Raina.
Oh, I'm thinking of Raina. That's what it is. Never mind. Yeah, you're right. Sam has.
We gotta get Colin on the show if we're gonna talk
yeah.
about like
The
characters
lore,
and-
yeah, he'd probably know all the storyline too, and
Yeah, he'd probably pick some good actors.
he probably already has a whole cast made. Colin likes that kind of shit. Like he's I know he's in there. He's like
Yeah,
my
John,
he's
I
he's,
agree,
he's an
right?
encyclopedia. Like
Oh, yeah.
Colin has recorded his own movie in his living room, and he's all the characters.
That's creepy.
I love Colin.
dude, that's an encyclopedia. He knows everything about Game of Thrones too. Like if I need like any questions about lore, like in anything, like he's my guy. Like just knows it all. Remember we watched, as it was in
He's
Boston.
playing How Danny still had Dothraki after the long night.
No. I also want to know how the dragon spoke Dothraki. That was one of my plot holes that I found too. She
Yo,
gives us,
hold on. Now that I think about it, wait, you actually made me forget. Never mind. Keep going.
seeing Ron Perlman for Ram, guy who plays Hellboy. An old Tom Cruise as Hoffman. Keep them coming, Chad. I like these. I like theory crafting these.
No, dude, Rom has to be the dude, fucking Thanos, bro.
Josh Brolin. Yeah.
Josh Brolin, bro. He needs to. He deserves the villain role in any movie at this point.
Any CGI villain. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Without the nutsack on his chin.
Yeah. I don't care.
It's the only thing I don't like about that character. Like, I love everything Thanos, but like, why is he got a ball sack on his chin? Vin Diesel could be Hoffman if he had the voice. Yeah, who okay, Hoffman. That's one. Like, who are some old actors that could fill that role?
Bruce Willis. I know he said him for something else, but
Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, no, it's literally Bruce Willis. It is.
Yeah,
Gotta
I would
be.
say Bruce Willis, Arnold,
Arnold.
Terminator.
no,
Like-
Terminator's in the game now.
I'll say Terminator's in the game. That's my character on day one.
I know, but I'm just saying, like Arnold, you go to Hoffman.
Clint Eastwood.
Nah, Clint
What did
Eastwood.
somebody say for Matthew McConaughey?
Oh, I said Matthew McConaughey for Dizzy. But
Oh,
Yeah, Gore said Dave Bautista. Apparently, Dave Bautista's been like begging for the role.
that's Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Someone said Toy Story had a better
He's a
plot than
funny
Game
guy.
of Thrones season 8. You're not wrong about that one.
Do you think it would be good if they did use like all of the characters we know, or if they brought it like a Gears of War movie where it was new characters and this Sarah like on Sarah, and this way they didn't have to like worry about casting characters that all the players or all the people who play the game know.
Yeah, I mean
it's
they
just-
could just rip something out of like the graphic novels or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Sure.
there's a lot of stuff. Though I'm pretty sure like the characters from Escape are characters from like the books and the comics and stuff.
Yeah,
So I mean, there's
that's what Colin
probably
was saying.
other characters that exist that we don't even know about.
Right.
I didn't realize how many other like outside pieces of lore there were that are like a ton different. Again, the more I talk to Colin about this stuff, like the more insight I get on all this, the outside things. Like I guess like we've been probably so funneled in our lives around like Gears of War multiplayer that like
Shooting other
that
players.
we have to shoot a guy and then he has to be in a chair somewhere else in the world. Like it can't be an AI. Like that's been like the box we've lived in Gears for like 12 years now. Like now that we're old and shit, like we actually like okay, like I wonder what else people talk about for this game. Like the books about humans fighting humans before the locusts were pretty good. That was called the Pendulum Wars, right? Am I correct on that?
Yeah, that was the Human War.
Yeah.
Like the Gao J
Yeah,
days.
so remember Gao J? No locust.
Yeah, don't hate on
Grenade.
Gao J.
I love
Yeah,
Gao
like,
J. I'm on the Gao J champion train.
Gao J had a lot of problems, but they had one thing right, and that was
Yes.
ace mechanics, bro. It
Yeah.
did.
Gao J was
I swear.
Gao J was the best shotgun since Gears 1.
The best shotgun. No, the best shotgun period ever. Like literally ever.
Minus the reticle on your screen. That
Okay,
will agree.
minus that. Yes. That should have been an option takeoff anyway.
Yeah, it should have been in the game, I think, but no, like I
It had
said,
the best fluid movement. It had a consistent shoddy, perfect spread,
You could
perfect
jump
damage.
off roofs.
Okay, that was
No,
stupid.
no
no,
active
like I said,
reload. damage.
no, Judgment did a lot of horrible things, but Judgment also did a lot of amazing things. Like absolutely, like there was so many cool features in Judgment, but you could also fly off buildings, so and you spawn with a grenade and you were Tom Brady, so again, a lot of poor things, but.
Bro.
I just remember I played it for like a week, and I just remember going into just like matchmaking and fighting people in stim grenades.
Yeah, no, like I said, a lot of bad things, but a lot of like I think Jose said the best. Base mechanics were fucking incredible in that game. It's just everything around it that was the opposite of incredible, I would say. And Diego 408 said, I don't know if you know, but the girl in Escape is related to Ty. Yep, they did actually release that. The Ty has a family member in the game. I like that area. The number, by the way, 408 is my area codes where I grew up. We got Vic in the chat. Was popping Vic. We were shouting out your boy Steven Seagal earlier. So glad to see you. Glad to see you rolling through.
Bro, think about it, right? Steven Seagal could be Hoffman.
Hit the
It's Bruce Willis, dude.
Bruce,
Oh,
Will-
you said
no,
Bruce
Bruce Willis is Marcus.
No.
Yes.
This is
Bruce
not
Willis,
Marcus, bro.
Bruce Willis is Hoffman. 100%, I agree, Chris.
Oh, he's.
I'm
too
also
Bruce
light.
Willis is
now-
not.
I'm also
Bruce
now-
Willis is like just old enough for Marcus, not old enough for Hoffman.
Oh,
I'm
he's
also
too
now
light.
standing Daniel Craig as Baird.
You know, Craig, he'd be a good Baird. I can roll with that. I can get jiggy with that.
I like Ryan Reynolds as Baird. Because he's like that smart ass too, you know?
Yeah. Daniel Craig.
I was
Oh, I
thinking
did-
Daniel Craig.
Craig was-
Daniel Craig
yeah.
has the look and like the techiness.
Yeah, but he's too serious.
Mm.
I mean, he's an actor. He can
Right.
act. He can act.
They said they want it to be a serious movie.
I mean, it can't be a Gears movie without being serious. It's like a literal like notion behind the game. It's like actual grit and war and everyone dying and
old guy from Avatar is Hoffman. That's a good one.
Or they could take it a different route and just have uh, him as Baird and Terry Crews as Cole.
Yeah, there you go. Throw Seth Rogen in there or someone.
Yeah, make Seth Rogen. You know that blue character in Gears 4, like the tank that can't breathe. That guy.
No, I don't know what character that is.
You don't know the UIR character?
Oh.
Hear from a
What's
Oh,
it? Yeah, what?
Sounds like he's smoking every single step of the way.
Fucking burger. That could be
That's
Burger's
literally-
freedom. We gotta cast Burger in the game somehow. Make like an extra.
Literally can't breathe.
We'll make Noonie someone. But alrighty, well, I think that should probably do it for us. I think we took this into a really, really odd direction. I probably have to change the title of this for YouTube because our honorable fifth topic went into a fun direction. Like I said, I wouldn't mind trying to put something together to expand upon the idea of this Gears movie because I think it's going to be pretty cool. And Vic just got here. Well, in typical New York fashion, my guy, you are a little bit late. We have to actually head out. Guys, I appreciate you so much for joining me. Of course, this was fun. We almost went for 2 hours, so a lot of great discussion. It's super cool to do this with you guys. Of course, obviously, we're all super, super close friends. I know I'm seeing Chris literally tomorrow in Daytona Beach for CEO, so I'll see you tomorrow, buddy. It's going to be fun. And I might be seeing...
July 4th, right?
I'm seeing you July 4th, Jordan. I might see you, Jose, later in July for Miami. Not sure yet. Still working some things out. Hopefully I do. But thank you guys, of course.
Wait, where are you going for July 4th? I keep going. And
He's
you're-
going-
my bad.
he's going to-
He's coming to Cali.
Oh,
Jordan's coming to Taco Palooza.
Taco Bonanza.
The same way that I think Jose's
wait.
cruise is cursed, he thinks Taco Palooza's cursed because we didn't go to Charlotte
Yeah.
for 4th.
Exactly. You should have came to
Oh.
Charlotte. Now you're going to Taco Palooza that you go to every year to eat the same tacos. All right. All good.
Peace, Jack. Yo, Jackal, by the way, thank you so much for all the gifted subs today, dude. That was super awesome of you, so I really appreciate that. But, yeah, guys, like I said, a huge thank you for joining me. Any kind of final words, any closing thoughts, anything to tell the viewers at home? Jordan, we'll start with you.
Thank you for having me as always. Yeah, a lot of the stuff we talked about just gets me more and more excited. I just love what Microsoft is doing, the Coalition is doing. This is my favorite game by far. So the more content, the more stuff. It's good. It's exciting. And then yeah, obviously everything comes down right now to the multiplayer reveal. For me personally, I could care less, as much for Escape and Campaign and even Horde. But the multiplayer reveal next month, we'll see how it is. And when it comes to the up-A speed boost, the weapon tuning, the maps, game types, all that stuff, we'll find out in 2 weeks. So see you then.
Definitely. Chris, let you go next.
It's fun as always. Thanks again for inviting me on. I can't really say anything that Jordan didn't just say. I'm just super excited for multiplayer related stuff and just finally getting our hands on Gears 5.
Definitely.
Especially
me
as
too.
a coach, like being at E-League and just trying to like dissect the game instead of having to worry about hitting shotgun shots. I think I'm gonna enjoy that especially.
Yeah, for sure. Jose, last but not least, first time on the Caster's Curse.
Awesome to be here. Talked about a few things that I felt like needed to be said, and hopefully in the future we can do more of these together. Thanks for everyone tuning in, and yeah, that's it.
Definitely. Well, guys, from Ryan, aka me, thank you guys, of course, so much for joining us once again. This is our 8th episode. Of course, Jacob wasn't able to make it today. He will be back for our next episode. I think next week. I fly out to San Diego on Wednesday, so next week's episode will probably be on Tuesday. Hopefully we get some more kind of nuggets of information of Gears 5 and some other things going on by then, or we might even just whip up that casting call for Gears movie. I don't know. This is pretty fun to talk about, so maybe we'll craft up one of those. But if you guys are watching on YouTube, of course, thank you so much for making it this far. If you have not already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ryan Fools TV. If you are on Twitch, of course, please follow the channel. It helps us grow, helps us make everything better and better. To all the new subscribers, thank you as well. Big thank you to Jackal for coming in with the gifted subs. That was super awesome of you, dude. Can't wait to see you at hopefully the first Big Gears event. And guys, that will do it for us. Thank you once again for joining us on episode 8 of the Caster's Curse. We will see you next time.